for the 2026 NHL Trade Deadline. Folks, how are we doing today? We had a lot of action right after the live stream with Anthony the Prospect Don yesterday, because of course, we streamed for like 2.5 hours. No trades happened while we were live, and then immediately after we see a whole bunch of them. Now, not a crazy amount necessarily, but still a good amount, and we're going to be covering the trade deadline all throughout this morning and afternoon. We're going to have a ton of fun today, so make sure you guys say hello if you guys haven't already. Say hi in the chat, drop by, let us know that you're in here. Hit that like button, of course, on the stream. Subscribe if you're new, of course, and especially if you're watching afterwards. We're going to have a lot of fun today, so you might as well just watch around the stream and see all the reactions, because hopefully we're going to see some pretty big trades here. Now, in terms of the actual updates here, we're going to get into it. I'll have the screen with my Twitter feed with all the insiders here on the screen. So as these trades go live, we're going to get immediately notified. So we're going to have the live trade reactions. We're going to have the live news. Everything sits here in this stream. But it's good to see you guys in the chat. Drop by, say hello. Let's get this thing going. Right now we got, hey, it's Farley in the chat. Brandon, Roxa, and Jaws. We got Nathan Gallagher coming by. Skylark Harkey, what's going on? Arc.io, good to see you, man. What do we see, or when do we see the Carolina Hurricanes? What do we see the Carolina Hurricanes doing? And I feel like it's been too quiet regarding them. Yeah, it always feels quiet when it comes to Carolina for some reason. I don't really understand. They're a weird team with that, I think. But who knows? Hey, Ryker with the 279 to start out the stream. My boy is back. Good to see you, dude. Let me get the thing going. I need to get the, let's see. Weird. Usually I guess the donation oh, Will with the 2 as well. I guess the donation sound effects aren't popping up. I don't know why. Let me see here. That's strange. Yeah, I think did I try to use that? No, that won't work. Whatever. We'll leave it for now. I appreciate the donations. Thank you, Ryker, and thank you, Will, for the 2 as well. Starting off this stream real nice. We're gonna have one heck of a time here, folks. So we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it going as much as we can. Hopefully, there's less lag than there was yesterday. That was just really bad on my part. I just had the bitrate way too high, and that's mostly what happened. But we'll see what happens here. Hopefully, let me know if there's any lag so far. I don't see anything yet, but you guys can let me know in the chat. But yeah, Ryker with the 279 says, Ottawa, please be active today. Dude, but Ryker, the problem is when they're active, they trade for Warren Foegele for like a second rounder. You know what I mean? That's the problem. That's the problem that I'm facing, is that I want to see Ottawa make a big move. I want to see them be aggressive. But when they're aggressive, they trade for Warren Foegele. And I don't know what to think anymore. I don't know what to think. It's a bit of a problem right now. But we have 175 folks coming by the stream. Thank you guys for joining us. We also got Will with the 2 saying, saw OEL and Lawton linked to the Bolts. Thoughts on that? Wouldn't it surprise me in the case of OEL, just for some defensive depth there, since, I mean, for Tampa, that's pretty consistently their problem. Obviously, we know the cap is always the biggest thing that Tampa's going up against, but I feel like Toronto's full sail right now. We'll see if they actually end up making some bigger moves. I still am kind of on the fence about Bobby McMahon actually getting dealt. It seems like Toronto seems to be. It's very strange, but I think Lawton's a pretty good bet considering how rough it's worked out there. Even if they haven't given him much of an opportunity, it seems like it's getting interesting. Very, very interesting. But thank you for the 2, Will. Thank you for the 2 as well, Ryker. Let me get Will here as the last donator. My man, coming in with the beautiful donation. Appreciate that. And as you guys know, and I've talked about it before, at least for the live streams, it's a big part of how I'm able to make money here on the channel. And especially for the next couple months, we'll be streaming a lot more. So your donations are heavily appreciated, especially as we go through today. We'll hopefully make it a awesome stream here. But let me get some more shout outs. We got Cole Sloan coming by with the Let's Go Hawks. Cowboy Caps with the hello. Sebastian saying, come on Red Wings. Miami Sports says, could we see Mackie trade with a pick for Seattle for Capo Caco? For Sam Miskevich? That would be intriguing. I mean, Capo Caco would be pretty fun on Florida's forward group, considering how many Finns they already have. I mean, that could be fun. I feel like... Would you trade Simiskevich, though, if you're Florida? Maybe Caco fits a bit more to that identity. But I think you could be onto something there. That could be interesting. Do you think the Kings do something today? It seems like from what we've heard, Brandon, the Kings will be pretty quiet. They aren't going to be trading Corey Perry. We know that already. So we'll see what happens there. But it seems to be pretty quiet on the Kings front. At least that's what I'm hearing right now. I wouldn't expect anything. If I'm a Kings fan, I would not expect much. Let's see. So Kevin Weeks has a recent tweet here. In the early morning rumblings, Bobrovsky, Wallstedt, Ingram, Binnington, Stolarz, and Skinner have been discussed in different potential trade scenarios. The goalie market is intriguing. So we have a bit of an update there on the goalies available right here. Let me know in the chat right now. How many of these do we see dealt? Which of these do we see dealt? Because Bobrovsky seems pretty likely at this point. Binnington seems pretty likely, though that contract is a bit of a pain point. Stolarz is interesting, but his health has kind of been all over the place the last year and a half. Skinner, you never know what you're getting. So I think in terms of teams actually looking for a goalie upgrade, Bobrovsky, Binnington make the most sense. But it is interesting to see a guy like Ingram as well in the conversation, and Stolarz too, kind of coming out a little bit out of nowhere. Oh, excuse me, guys. Just had to... the allergies in Texas right now have been awful, so I've really been struggling lately, but I'm trying my best there. Yeah, a lot of goalies in play, which for a team like Vegas could be a really big thing for them. We'll see what happens there. Also, yeah, in terms of the Elliot Friedman update here, we saw the John Carlson trade, and I'll get to that in a minute. Let me know in the chat if you guys have already seen the John Carlson deal. Is it a W? Is it an L? Who do we think wins that deal? Because I went to sleep right before it happened, actually. But this was the update that Elliot Friedman gave on the Trocheck situation, saying that the Rangers have indicated they are prepared to keep Vincent Trocheck if they don't get what they feel they need. Told teams they are not trading him just for the sake of making a trade. So obviously the Rangers trying to play their leverage here, and they do have a lot of it in the case of Trocheck with his term, but I also think he's 32 years old, and I don't know if the value is going to be quite there if he's 33. I think that could be a pain point for the Rangers, but they could also trade him in the offseason too, so you do have that factored in. We also did have an update from Pierre LeBrun saying that the Devils continue to listen on it in Simon Nemec, who needs a new contract this offseason. New Jersey would only move him in the right package for a top 6 young forward that impacts the group immediately. So as much as William, I think it's a little bit of cope to think that Joshua Wong could be the guy going back, but we do have Simon Nemec still on the table here for New Jersey, which isn't much of a surprise, but still very intriguing. Oh, we got a no-no? Thank you so much to Will again with a $5 donation. I appreciate that, dude. Saying, and he goes with a donation message here, a guy that's going to be the most interesting to watch besides guys like Thomas and those big names is Simon Nemec. Does he get dealt? Well, there you go, Will. Literally, as soon as you said that donation, we got right on it. And I mean, I think I would say it's like 50-50 right now, if I was going to be real, if you will. I don't think the Devils are in a position where they need to trade him necessarily. He's another guy that could be an offseason deal if they look to upgrade it around the draft per se. But he's an intriguing one just for the potential that he still has offensively. He's had some raw moments, and I think he is still pretty raw. But it is very intriguing because we were talking about yesterday with maybe a potential William Eklund and maybe William Eklund going to New Jersey for Nemec plus type of deal. That could be something I think the Devils would be interested in. How interested the Sharks would be is a little bit more of a question mark, since I think Eklund has shown some great things, but hasn't been a consistently great level. But we'll have to wait and see. Sens need a goalie bad, even though Ullmark played good last night. See, that's the thing. I just feel like the Sens are too handicapped in the goaltending department. Maybe they go for like a Bobrovsky to try to shore things up, but I'm not sure about it. And then Ryker comes in with a 279. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Both Will and Ryker are absolutely killing it to start off today. Saying Nemec for Boucher, he's totally not a bust, New Jersey. Hey, he got called up for like 5 minutes a couple weeks ago, so he got called up for like a cup of coffee. Did he actually play a game? I don't think he actually played a game, but yeah, definitely top 6 potential there, New Jersey. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, for sure. Thank you for the dono, though, Ryker. I appreciate that. And let's see. Let's get you as the last donator now. My boy, Ryker, back at the very top. Will, you have competition? You have competition, man. What are the odds that Bob McKenzie breaks a trade? Dude, I would love that so much. He's in retirement. He's at his cabin. He's doing the most, but yeah, I don't know how likely it will actually be, but I would love to see that. Actually, so let's now move on to the trades we saw earlier last night, which of course just happened right after we saw the live stream end. But there was multiple here. First, we had, I'm now realizing just how many freaking trades they made after we stopped streaming. I'm going to kill myself. It's going to happen. This is just awful. Unbelievable, man. Okay, first off, we have the David Perron deal. That was the first one that happened afterwards. So the Red Wings reacquire David Perron from the Sens, get him back on that roster for a conditional draft pick. If he plays in a game the rest of the season, if he plays in a game the rest of the season, it's a 2026 fourth? Like a single game? Just one game? Is that all it takes? Is that seriously all it takes? I guess, sure. And if the Red Wings win the first round and Perron appears in 50% of the games, it becomes a third-round pick. Honestly, pretty good value, I think, for the Sens. I like that deal quite a bit. A little bit more of a low type of stakes deal, but Perron is somebody that is heavily loved in the locker room, so I'm sure Detroit loves having him back. Then we had the Sabres. This was so funny, man. We had the Sabres pivoting from Colton Parayko to get Logan Stanley and Luke Schenn from the Winnipeg Jets. And this was the deal that really got me going, because this was just crazy to me. We had a couple of deals from them. In terms of the actual details here, this is what it ended up being. So the Sabres acquired Logan Stanley and Luke Schenn with 50% salary retention. For the Jets, they get Jacob Bryson, Isaac Rosén, a 2027 second-round pick, and a conditional 2026 fourth-round pick. And I thought this was magnificent value for the Jets. I mean, Logan Stanley, he is what he is. He's a big defenseman, has good range. That's pretty much it. I don't think he skates well. I don't think he defends that great. I think he is extremely overrated. Luke Schenn has a lot of experience, but I don't think has been that great over these last couple of years, even in the playoffs. And I don't really understand this at all in the Sabres case. Logan Stanley, I guess, a little bit because he fits maybe the timetable of that team a bit better. But Luke Schenn, I guess for insurance, but like you're trading a former first rounder in Rosén, who, yes, I don't think is going to be a brilliant player necessarily, but I think still could have an NHL future, and a second round pick and a fourth round pick, and the better of the fourth round pick between Buffalo and Edmonton. So you're trading quite a bit here for Stanley, who might be your sixth defenseman, and Schenn, who would be your extra defenseman. And I just don't really understand that. At that point, just keep what you have. I don't really understand why you need to trade all these assets. Now, granted, Buffalo has so many assets, so they can afford to do that, sure. But it's just kind of strange to me. I don't know about you guys. I don't know. I don't really see it personally. Stanley is a somewhat physical player, but I think isn't quite as physical as most people make him out to be. I just don't really know. But we'll see if it works out for the Sabres. I just think it's a very low-risk move while also trading quite a bit. But that's kind of been the case for a lot of depth players at this year's deadline, where Michael McCarron goes for a second-round pick. So why not Logan Stanley? Why not, I guess? Anything new on the Sens? So, Bobby, besides the David Perron deal, doesn't seem like it yet. Aaron Master, what's going on? Good to see you. We got Nick Gallo, we got Havenkon, we got Silent Boom CR. Good to see you guys in the chat here. TFM, Nick, we got Jacob, we got Bobby, Gravitech Mod, good to see you. The Bucks Bides, we got Buffalo Sabres in the chat. Junior Spangle, good to see you. Dune Buggy. Any news if Kyrou is moving? Not any new updates, but we still hear the same teams linked to him, like Ottawa, like the Islanders. I don't think Kyrou's going to get dealt, but it is still a possibility. And then for Buffalo, it was interesting because I actually liked their other deal they made earlier on in the day, where they got Sam Carrick from the New York Rangers. It is still a little bit pricey to me, but I do like Sam Carrick. I like his forechecking. I like his energy. And I guess at this rate, if Michael McCarron's going for a second-round pick, sure, Sam Carrick goes for a third and a sixth-rounder. But I do like the fit in Carrick's case. He's somebody that, again, with the energy level, how good he can be in kind of that fourth-line center role, I think it's fine. And I think for Buffalo, that's more of the deal I would like to see them making. But it seems like for them, they're just going for more of the heavy depth moves, which have worked for them a little bit in the past. Some haven't. But I think in Sam Carrick's case, he's going to be a good player for the Sabres down this stretch. And then we had the third and the actual official details there. And then we also saw a pretty big one with Connor Garland going from the Canucks to the Blue Jackets. Allegedly, Mason Marchment was injured in last night's game, so the Blue Jackets going for a little bit of insurance on the wings. But Garland, of course, with his big contract, kicking in this summer, it is intriguing that Columbus is the team to go after him. But also in terms of how the way Garland plays, it's not really surprising that Columbus went after him. Connor Garland is such a Columbus type of player. He goes for a second and third round pick. That second in 2028 and that third rounder in 2026, which I think is pretty fair value for Garland. I know he hasn't been great this season, but in terms of the energy level, in terms of the anticipation to play, even at his size, he's something that I think has a really good floor. And even as a third liner, I think it'd be really valuable. The contract is the big issue. That's the big thing that kind of held back a deal from happening in the first place. But I like Columbus being a little bit aggressive here and trying to go for somebody that won't just be a rental. You'll go for a bit of a long-term play. I like the Garland deal for them. Let us know. What do you think about, what do you guys think about that Garland deal for just a second and a third, which I think most of it comes down to the contract, which is why Vancouver didn't get more. But I think a second and a third round pick, it makes sense. Are the Blues going to fire sale? It looked like they wanted to, Corey, but we haven't seen Falk dealt. We haven't seen Thomas dealt. We haven't seen Parayko dealt. And another update we got just recently, y'all, and this was interesting. I'll pull it up here because I got the notification for it. This comes from Pure LeBrun and the tweet by Puck Report NHL. Colin Parayko does not intend on waiving his no move clause today or no trade clause per Pure LeBrun, and all indications are he stays in St. Louis for now. Man, the Blues went from we're about to get Ratty Murka and a first round pick and potentially even more to Parayko ends up staying in the end. That is absolutely brutal. That is absolutely brutal for a team that really needed some good news. Just awful, awful news for them. But in Parayko's case, that was his right. He of course negotiated that, and in Doug Armstrong's case, all his no trade clauses are coming back to actually bite him, at least in this year's deadline. But that is intriguing. So in the case of Parayko, it will not be traded today. We get that official confirmation here. Wheel of Times with B+ for Columbus and B- for Vancouver. I could see that. I mean, I know a lot of people were making a fuss about it being a 2028 pick, but Vancouver's not going to be good for another like 4, 5 years, 6 years maybe at this rate with how much they're tearing it down. So what's the problem with a 2028 pick? If you're gonna get more value, just get that more value, right? At least in my opinion. Redacted says, "Hey Nathan, I remember you from when you were a bit younger. I'm a fellow Stars fan of DFW, and I just wanted to give you your flowers and say congrats on how far you've come into the NHL content." Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Always go Stars forever, and I'll do my best to cover them as much as I can. But I appreciate that a ton, man. I hope you're doing well. Go Stars, baby. Go Stars. Heard something about Sharks and Bobrovsky. Please no Mike Rear. Yeah, that would be we've seen that connection quite a lot already, but I just don't really understand it because why is San Jose trading for a 38-year-old? I get it would be fun. Of course it would be, but like they're not at that level, in my opinion, where they can win a Stanley Cup. And at the end, if you're not going to win a Stanley, if you don't have any chance, in my opinion, to win a Stanley Cup, they could surprise a little bit in the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to get all the way there. Why would you trade for a 38-year-old Bobrovsky? Unless the price is insanely cheap somehow and it's like a second-round pick or something, then maybe. But even then, I just don't really feel like San Jose, it benefits them too much. You might as well trade. Again, trade for a right-shot defenseman with term. I don't understand what you are doing, San Jose. You will trade for every single other position, but the biggest need on your team for years and years has been right-shot defenseman, both on the team right now and in the long term. And unless Eric Polkamp is going to just come out of nowhere and be a first pair defenseman, what are we doing here? I get it's easier said than done to trade for those guys, but that's why you keep your second round pick so you can trade for those guys. I don't know. San Jose to me is just I get that they love their Sherwoods and everything, but man, just at some point you gotta. At some point, right? You think? Thoughts on the Habs from Mendy? Yeah, they've been pretty quiet so far. They haven't traded Line A. We know that they were potentially in on some depth, maybe a Zach Whitecloud, but that hasn't materialized yet. So we'll see. But I'm not very confident in the Habs doing much this deadline. At least that's what I've heard so far. It just doesn't seem like there's going to be a massive, massive deal that just completely pulls out of the water. But I would love to be wrong. Kent Hughes has proved me wrong in the past when it comes to those type of deals. So we'll see there. But I did want to also touch on the last big trade we saw yesterday, which you guys should probably know by now, but it happened right as I was going to bed, right after I went to bed, actually, and it was a massive one. So John Carlson being traded to the Anaheim Ducks. This was a bit of a curve for me because I kind of expected a Dougie Hamilton type of move, but the Caps just come out of nowhere and start really becoming a seller at this deadline. Similarly to what the Blues did a few years back, it feels like. But in Carlson's case, he's somebody that has been a lifelong Capital. It's kind of crazy to see him dealt, but it's a conditional first-round pick going back to the Capitals in either 2026 or 2027, and a 2027 third-round pick, even though poor Elliot Friedman and his the fat fingers moment. I've done that a few times. Don't worry, Elliot. Don't take it too personally, okay? But I think that's a pretty fair deal for Carlson, though with how much we've seen is for some of these deals lately, maybe could have been a bit more than that. But a third and a first-round pick, yeah, why not? I mean, in Anaheim's case, we'll see if Carlson fixes the issues they have, but what a presence to bring onto that defense, man. It's kind of, it's very interesting to see Carlson dealt, to see him on a new team, a different team than the Capitals. So I'm very curious to see how that goes up. How many right-handed D are available, though? You have guys like Brandon Carlo. I know Ristolainen's available, though. If we were talking about San Jose earlier, I don't think I don't think they'd be in for a rental, though. They might be in for Bobrovsky, I guess. So maybe that changes. But in terms of the right-handed D, Brandon Carlo, I know, is a big one. You got Rasmus Ristolainen. I know I'm forgetting about a few. Zach Whitecloud is also out there. But yeah, the right-handed D market has been wild so far this year. Brandon Carlo to San Jose, and what do they have at first? That's interesting. I mean, I don't know if they would, mostly because I think a lot of Carlo's value comes down to his pretty low cap hit. And I don't think for San Jose they desperately need that, though with how many young guys are going to be signing here, maybe that becomes a factor for them. But I'm not sure. I think for them, they might be on the lower scale of teams that offer for Carlo, but I think he would fit pretty well with what they need. Kyle says, predictions on Trocheck. Honestly, at this point, I think the Rangers are just going to fail this completely. They're going to fumble it completely. They're not going to trade him. They're going to leave value on the table, and they're going to look like complete fools again. That's my prediction. If we're just going realistically, Chris Drury is going to fail this somehow, and it'll just be another long line failures of Chris Drury up to this point. But we got 470 people in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us today. A big thank you to all you guys for coming for the coverage. We're going to have all the latest trades, all the latest news right here in this stream, so you don't want to go anywhere. And also, if you guys are enjoying this stream, enjoying the hype, make sure that like button. We have 33 likes right now. Let's get to 50. We got a lot of folks in here. If you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure to support it that way. It's one of the best ways to do so. And if you guys have it already too, if you are able to, a donation also goes a long way. But I appreciate you guys just being here and watching along with us. Why not wanting a first round pick, first round stud prospect and a D prospect for Troch is crazy. Not wanting. So you're saying they're going a little bit lower than that? Carolina needs to make a trade. Holy true, Nick. They need to do something. Come on. I mean, I feel like still Kadri's waiting in the wings right now, but I don't know if he's actually going to be the guy. But we'll see. From Pure LeBron and the latest on Predators' Ryan O'Reilly, there hasn't been a trade offer yet on the table for Nashville to consider seriously. Given the price paid for Nick Waugh yesterday, it's at least a first and a top prospect, if not more, for a team to get Ryan O'Reilly. And he could very well stay put, which I think he would prefer, but teams are calling. Interesting. So a first rounder and a top prospect, if not more, probably a roster player, I would imagine. Would you guys pay that for Ryan O'Reilly in this market? Considering his low cap hit, considering the experience, considering he's still a really good player. Dude, in this market, if Nick Waugh, again, he is the one that has just broken my brain. If he can get a first rounder and a fifth, I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, this market is so loopy. It's so weird. So at this point, why can't Ryan O'Reilly get a first and a top prospect and like another pick or something? At this point, who the heck knows? But I mean, Harry says in the comments he's going to Carolina. That would make a lot of sense to me in terms of the player, in terms of the archetype, and what Carolina could use a bit more of. That makes sense to me. Though we'll see if the Canes could give that up, because I would imagine for them it would be like a first. They don't really have a lot of top prospects who haven't graduated already, but maybe. Ooh. Yeah, who do the Canes have that who do the Canes have that hasn't already like made the NHL and really been an impact player for them besides like of course like Jarvis Nikishin, Jackson Blake as an example. Let's see. I need to reacquaint myself because the prospect pool for the Canes has been all over the place. I don't think a Bradley Nadeau would go, would he? Maybe like a Dominic Badinka or a Felix Ungersorum, perhaps. So something like that, maybe. So maybe like, okay, let me know if you guys would do this deal if you're Carolina. First round pick, Dominic Badinka, right-handed D, second rounder of 2024, I believe, who's been playing over in Sweden, and another roster player on top of that. Let's say, I don't even know who Nashville would be interested in necessarily, but maybe a Kotkaniemi, something like that. Maybe to get rid of some cap in the meantime. That's kind of what I could see potentially, but I'm not sure. I just don't think they would trade Nadeau though, Jacob, because that's on a top prospect level that I think is a little bit too high. At least in Ryan O'Reilly case, I don't think that they would be trading Nadeau. Hey, Nick with the 5. Thank you, dude. It's good to see ya. Hopefully you're doing well. And Nick says, think the Devils send 4 to 7 Nemets, Dougie, Kovacevic, Mercer, Cotter, Siegs, and Glass players out, and then they bring in one big forward and picks and prospects. Whew. Wow. A lot of selling, Nick. I think you're more optimistic than me when it actually comes to the trades here. And then we got Will with the 2 saying, what do you think the Pens do today? Good question, Will. I appreciate that. But yeah, do we see the Devils going full fire sale like Nick says? I don't know if it'll go that crazy, but I could easily see Dougie, Nemets, Kovacevic, I think is also an interesting one. Even though he's been injured throughout this year, I think at his best, he can still be a really good depth defenseman on that right side. So I think it could be interesting for sure. And then what do you think the Pens do today? Well, honestly, I think they'll be pretty quiet. I think they already kind of made their deal for value in the Girard deal. But I could see them doing something similar, maybe going for a younger piece. Maybe they trade Rickard Rakell, maybe, but I think that's probably the most we'll see. If not, like a Stuart Skinner gets flipped or something like that. That's I think the extent to what we see. I think Rickard Rakell would probably be the biggest thing if we were to see something. Yeah, Nadeau won't go unless it's Robert Thomas. Yeah, something like that, Jacob. That's I think that's the type of player the Canes would deal Nadeau for sure. Grav, thoughts on this? AJ Greer to either Vegas or Dallas. I'd like him in Dallas. It's just about the price, man. Are we giving up a first-round pick for AJ Greer in this economy? At this point, I don't even know. Maybe. I mean, we AJ Greer has more points this year than Nick Waugh, and he got a first and a fifth-round pick. So I don't even know, man. I don't even know. I'd like him. I'd like him, but are we just giving the entire cupboard away? Dude, it must be so good to be a seller this year. It must be so fun. Oh my gosh. Let me get you as the last donor though, Will. I appreciate you, bud. And yeah, I think the Pens are going to be an interesting team today. They love making their kind of creative deals. Do we see another one there? Hey, and then Technician with the $5 dono. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. And Technician says, if Detroit trades Perron today, does Ottawa get nothing since he has to play a game for Detroit to get the 4th round pick? Wait a second. Okay, first things first. I don't think this would happen since I feel like that is a reputation ruining move to trade for a player and then immediately trade him out. I don't know if Perron does have trade protection, but isn't there a rule about not trading? Or is it? I can't remember, but I feel like it would be a reputation ruining move for Detroit to immediately trade Perron, but it would be sneaky, man. It would really be sneaky. Like, imagine Detroit was like, hey, he'll get a 1st round pick if we play him. And then they just never play him. They just want him for the locker room. They just want him for the vibes. Yes, Stolarz is available, Joseph. One of the more underrated, or Josh, one of the more underrated goalie options out there, I would say. At least if he is healthy. Ottawa would be interesting, though. I don't know if I know that Ottawa's goaltending has been bad this year, guys, but outside of Bobrovsky and maybe Binnington, I just don't really see an upgrade there necessarily. So I just don't really see the need for Ottawa, especially to give up assets. when they're in a position where they need more draft picks than less with their prospect pool. So I don't know. If I was Ottawa, honestly, I would stand pat. I know that's crazy to say considering just how bad their goaltending has been, but I'd rather stand pat and hope that it rebounds or something. My hope was that they would have gone for a defenseman to make things a bit easier for them, since we know that Nick Jensen could potentially get dealt at this year's deadline. So I was hoping they would go for an upgrade on him, but that doesn't really seem to be the case unless we see another big trade happening. But I would kind of be shocked on that, if personally. But yeah, big update there on Ryan O'Reilly, so we'll see if anything else happens on that front. But a lot in play here. We still haven't seen a trade yet happen this morning, but we're still on the lookout, folks. Let me know in the chat right now. Who is the first player traded on trade deadline day? I don't know if Carlson technically was. Was he confirmed? Oh, I guess he was confirmed at 12:08 Central. So technically, John Carlson was the first, but let's make some predictions of the actual first of the morning. Let me know who is the first to go out of all the options on the table. Who is the first player to get dealt? I'm going. You know what? We talked about him earlier. I'm going to say AJ Greer. I'm going to say AJ Greer is the first to go. The first domino. Let's get it going. What do you think Tampa will do? I don't think much. And honestly, I don't think they need to do much, Firebolts. They're pretty good. Maybe like a depth defenseman move. Maybe. That would be the most I could see. Tony, what's going on? Good to see you in the chat. Carrick is a meh player. I like him, Daniel. Maybe not for the price, but that's also been the case for so many of these depth deals. I like Michael McCarron. I think he has some interesting upside, but a second rounder? Sam Carrick, I like him a lot as a fourth line center, but a third and a what was it, a 6th round pick? No way. But I digress. Hey, thank you for the donation, Yakik 9326. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that right, by the way. I'm pretty bad with that. He says, seems like the Trocheck to the Wild trade is not going to happen. What do you think about the Wild trading Wallstedt to the Sharks for a centerman? I think we've seen that floated around quite a bit. I would personally love to see Minnesota being a bit more aggressive. We already saw the Quinn Hughes trade, so they filled their quota for sure. But I think they could be in a real spot to still trade some assets. Wallstedt, of course, we've seen float around a ton throughout this deadline process. So yeah, in the case of Trocheck, he wants to stay out east, so a little bit less likely that it ends up in Minnesota. I just don't really know if the options are there that are very enticing for Minnesota. Maybe Nazem Kadri, maybe. That's like the only one I could see, because I don't think they're going to give the assets for Robert Thomas, especially if St. Louis was already asking for insane amounts for a trade to Buffalo. Imagine how much they would ask for an in-division team, which what we kind of saw with Utah kind of getting strangled in those negotiations. So I think for Minnesota, especially if Trocheck's off the board, like maybe Teddy Bluger could be like the only other option that I mean could kind of fit what they would need. But even then, I think it's a pretty lateral move. So I think Kadri is the only bona fide upgrade that's really available, or at least that we've heard is available. Maybe Ryan O'Reilly, but again, Nashville seems to be pretty strict on their trade value, and Minnesota already traded a second for McCarron, so I don't know if that's the play either. It's going to be a weird deadline for the Wild, for sure, but we'll see. And then Will says for the 2, a weird pick, give me Bobby Brink to Tampa Bay. I mean, that would be an interesting one. Bobby Brink is a great player, by the way. Love his energy, always have. Skating is always the issue, but that guy makes up for it, man. I love him. We got 600 in the chat. Thank you guys so much for coming by, y'all. It's great to have you today. We're going to be breaking all the trades as it goes live, so do not go anywhere. We're going to have a lot of reactions, a lot of excitement today. So you might as well join us in the chat. Say hello. By the way, if you haven't put anything in the chat yet, say hi in the chat right now. I'd love to give you guys a shout out. But let me get Will as the last donator here. But thank you to the latest donos. You guys have been killing it. Oh, I guess Will is already. My bad. Will just is always on top, man. I mean, literally, Will had the donation right after Yakik, immediately. Right after. Or I guess Jake. I would imagine. But, like, the very next message, it was so funny. Hey, and then Richard comes in with the 2. Hi, and what trade do you expect Jim Nill to make? Ooh, I mean, Nill, I don't know if the Stars have another trade in them. So that's kind of the debate. Like, do we see another trade by Dallas? I don't think I would expect anything. Maybe they could go for, I don't think they would go for a center. Maybe they could go for another wing, but I think they've already kind of filled what they needed in Michael Bunting. So honestly, for me, Richard, it might be lame, but I'm predicting no other trades for Jim Nill. I think what he's done, I think he's going to stay quiet from now on. We got Titchy coming by. Willie3173. Good to see you. Eddie Slavin, welcome. Farley, I'm ready for the trade deadline party. Yes, we are, baby. We are here for the party. It's going to be really fun. We got O'Neill coming by in the chat. Good to see you. Their link just saying Grav. Ooh, interesting. What up, Grav Chain Raider? Good to see you. We got John Knight in here as well. John Pollock. We got D3D Boy. Good to see you. KP comment says, I pray to see Carlo to Boston for our first round pick back. Imagine. No, I think Bruins fans would explode if that were to happen. Ark, is Line A getting traded? At this point, I don't really know. I don't really know in Line A's case because we thought he'd be a cap dump, but if Montreal's not going to make another move, then there's not really much of a need. So I'm not sure about it right now. I'm not sure. Ace of Toronto, what's going on? Good to see you. Wake up, Doug. There is no reason we have not made a trade. St. Louis is a baffling one right now. Obviously, Colton Parayko has been taken off the board by himself. But if St. Louis doesn't make any deals after they were primed to be the biggest seller of the deadline, I'll be pretty mad, honestly. Because they're in such a perfect spot to tank for the next year and a half. Like, genuinely perfect. By the way, it's saying that my bitrate is a little bit higher than it should be. Have you guys noticed any lag at all? From my end, it looks the stream has been pretty smooth, but let me know in the chat if that's not been the case. I'll try to get that sorted out. Robbie, what's up, Grav in the group? It's good to see you, Robbie. Welcome. Nice to Minnesota, says JK. Okay, I like to see it. And hey, apparently, according to Elliot Freeman, Nyes is available. It would just have to be an offer that absolutely blows the Toronto Maple Leafs away, which you never know what that ends up being, and Minnesota in that case. But maybe like Wallstedt and like a big time prospect could be something there. Maybe you try to leverage a Wallstedt to Toronto because they are in a position where they could need some real juice in that goaltending long term. So maybe something like that, but it would take a lot, I think, to get Matthew Nyes. But dude, imagine Nyes and Boldy on the same line. Wait a second, JK, you might be cooking. Holy, dude, that would rule. Okay, that might actually be I might need to see that happen. Even as a Stars fan, that would kind of rock. I'm gonna be honest. Stayos will land a big name right defenseman today from Dan. Okay. I like it. Who will it be though, Dan? Who will it be? Will it be a Carlo? Will it be a bigger defenseman? I don't know. Subgrab, how would you feel about Nemets for Jason Robertson? Who wins that? Probably not one for one, but yeah, no. No, Ray, please. We do not need this. We do not need this speed. Absolutely not. It would have to be like Nemets and Mercer and like a top prospect and another top prospect, in my opinion. Especially since it seems like the Stars and Robertson are pretty likely going to re-sign. Your final prediction on what Florida actually gets in return for Greer go. I would say, even though it's kind of silly that he won't, I think he won't get a second round pick, though I do think it'll be similar to the Carrick trade, where it's like a third and a fifth round pick. Something like that, where it's multiple picks. That's what I think is going to end up happening, Jelly. But it'll probably be like a 2027 third rounder, a 2026 fifth. That's going to be my prediction. Finally, this guy cut his hair. I haven't had a haircut in like a month, TML. You're late, buddy. You're late. Perron is dust. Get him off my team now. Yeah. But hey, locker room, Derek. Locker room, though. Locker room. Hey, St. Louis with the $5 donation. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Need the Blues to make some moves. Armstrong needs to set this team up rather than waiting another 5 years. Yeah. I think they, but St. Louis, let me know if I'm wrong on this, but I feel like they've wasted their chance. I mean, they could still obviously trade like a Kyrou even or a Falk. There is still opportunity, but I just feel like the Parayko deal really set them back because they were waiting on it for so long. And now that they are just stuck with it, where do they go from here, right? That's kind of my big thing, is that I don't really know what the Blues do next, because a lot of their top guys just don't really seem to be getting the value that they want them to get. So I'm very curious. I think at the very least we should see a Falk trade, but I think this could have been such a statement deadline by the Blues. Imagine they traded not even just Thomas, but Kyrou, Binnington, Falk, Parayko. That would have been legendary. And you didn't even have to trade Robert Thomas to make that happen. But the fact that none of them have been dealt, and I get that contracts are difficult, the no trade clauses, but you gave the no trade clauses to these players. That was your fault. And now you have to sit in your bed while you pee in it, okay? I don't know what, a strange analogy by myself, but you know what I mean. What do you think Matthew Knies' price is? It would have to be like a top prospect, a really good NHLer, maybe a defenseman, and like a first round pick. Like that would be the starting price, honestly. I think Knies would have unbelievable value. You think the Sabres need anyone else, or are they done? I think they, considering the trades they made, I think they should be done. I mean, they could go for somebody bigger, but I think that ship kind of sailed. That ship kind of sailed with them not getting Parayko. So I think what's going to end up happening is that they're just going to end up keeping these trades they've already made in the case of Stanley and Shen and Carrick, and just calling it a day. That's at least what I think, because I think they try to go for their big fish. The big fish didn't want to come to them, so they're going to go for the depth to try to fix that. The guys that don't have the no trade clauses. Does a good goalie get moved today? And Vegas needs one. Yeah, I feel like Bobrovsky is the most likely option, but Vegas is in cap hell right now, and I don't really see where the trade goes. I don't really know where it comes from, so that would be my only guess. But again, his cap is such a big anchor that maybe you would have to do like a 3-team trade to get the salary down. And I don't know for Vegas if they can get on that level. But they've gotten creative before, so we'll see. Don't let us down, Stevie Y. Yeah, AB, we're gonna see if they have anything in the chamber right now. But by the way, this is pissing me off now, because we have been live for a total of 3.5 hours over the last like 15 hours. And no trades have happened while we've been live. Guys, can we get some... I just want everybody right now to put trade in all caps in the chat. Just put trade in all caps in the chat to get a trade happening, because we need some good luck now, man. We need some good luck. This is getting ridiculous. This is getting ridiculous, dude. Just make a trade. I don't even care if it's AJ Greer for a 7th round pick. Just do something. Just give me something, guys. Yeah, we got a lot of trades in the chat. Some good luck coming our way. I have a feeling the next 10 minutes, we're going to see something happening. The next 24 hours, we will see a single trade. I will bet that. Come on, man. Come on. Make it happen. Make it happen. I know we'll see a lot more action later on, but I want it now. I'm impatient, man. I'm Gen Z, dude. I can't wait too long. I'm not built for this. Up triangle. What's going on, dude? Good to see you. Oh, sorry, I walk in order. My apologies. My apologies. Kent Hughes, just do something true, Sharkbait. Kent Hughes, we need you in our time of need. We need this. Let me get a pillow, by the way, because I need some back support here. Jeez. I need something. I need something on this chair. Steve Steos is watching this and just picked up the phone. There we go, Dan. There we go. We're back. For all the GMs watching, I know you're watching because you love the channel and you get all your good ideas from me. Keep it. Come on. Make it happen. Thoughts on the Stanley trade? I think it is wild for the Jets. I think it's great for them, especially in the case of Stanley and Shen. Shen, who was going to be there long-term. Stanley, who I don't think was going to be there long-term. Get a second. Rosine, who's not great, but I mean, I think he still can be something. Maybe like a third liner. But at the end of the day, a second-round pick, I think, is pretty nice for that. So I think it was great value. I don't really think it'll improve the Sabres by that much, but I guess they get a bit more physicality maybe. But I don't think it was worth the expense they paid. But we'll see. We'll see. Habs need Trocheck. Okay, Dozer. Well, what would you pay for Trocheck if you're Montreal? Because I think the Trocheck value is a little bit crazy, or will be a little bit crazy for some teams to swallow. It would be like a first-round pick. Ryan Bacher would be 100% a part of that deal. Probably an NHL player, so you're probably letting go of like an Oliver Kapanen, I imagine. Maybe even more than that. Maybe even more than that. Like another pick on top of that. Let's see. I have follow trade. Well, maybe we could see that. It could be interesting. Never fear. Howie's here. Good to see you, Howie. Welcome to the stream. Now that we have Howie in the chat, a trade's about to happen, boys. Boys and girls. That's on Perrown back to Detroit for basically nothing. I mean, it depends on how you view basically nothing. I mean, it's very likely to be a third-round pick since I'm sure he'll play a game at least, I'd imagine. But I think it's fine. I don't think Perron is much, though, these days, honestly. I think Detroit's mostly getting him back because of how well he worked in that locker room, which is fair, I guess, but I just don't really... I think for Ottawa, that's a pretty great move to make. Who would be the better fit for Utah, Nyes or Thomas? I would say Thomas just because of the center need, but Nyes would be pretty sick. Plus, they have... I would think like a TJ Ginla would be going back to Toronto if that were to happen. I would imagine. Perfetti to Montreal? Ooh, I would like to see that, Nathan. Give me a Perfetti trade, man. He deserves better than how he's gotten in Winnipeg. I'd like to see that. Though I don't think it's very likely, but Perfetti is still on the board, so we'll see. We'll see. Could happen. McDavid to the Leafs in 2 years when Matthews leaves. Imagine how funny that would be. We should do a poll. Guys, what should we do as a poll? What should the poll be, though? That's the thing. Grav, you think Higgins gets a shot with the Bruins this season? I think he will. Yeah, I think he's going to sign after this year ends for BC, which could be relatively soon. I don't think they're a national championship team, but yeah, I could very easily see him signing after his season is done. Give me Ryan O'Reilly to the Islanders for Kashawn Aitchison and a first rounder. Interesting. I think Nashville would love Aitchison for sure. But from what we've heard, it's a first rounder, a top prospect, and potentially more on top of that. So likely an NHL player coming back, I would imagine, for the Preds. So I would imagine it would be like Kashawn Aitchison, a first rounder, and maybe like I don't even know. Would they go for like a Scott Mayfield or something? I'm trying to think of what could really be a good fit. Maybe like a Drouin, though I think the Islanders would happily give him away with how underwhelming he has been, at least recently. Someone tell Danny Briere to do something. Someone tell any GM at all to do something. Please, we need this. In your opinion, will the Mets be traded? I would lean yes. It's pretty 50-50 to me, but I think the Devils are ready to make some big moves here. I hope. If Dallas disappoints in the playoffs, does Robertson get traded this offseason, maybe to Pittsburgh for Raquel Koivunen and a first rounder to start the package? It's a possibility. I mean, I think the problem though is that Robertson's usually one of their bigger playoff performers. So I guess it depends on how he does this playoffs. But I don't think they would be in line for any shakeups, mostly because I think it would be so hard to do. I think if they were to make a shakeup, it might honestly come from the center group, like I'm getting rid of a Duchesne or something like that. That's at least what I would see. Danny, good morning and thank you for your stream. Of course, dude, we're going to be giving you all the live updates as they come. If we get any trades, maybe we don't even see any other trades for the rest of the trade deadline, but we can't have that happen, boys. We had the good luck earlier. Something has got to happen. You'd think, you would imagine, you'd think. It is interesting because we haven't seen any deals since the Carlson deal at midnight earlier. So we haven't seen any like just normal like depth deals that we usually see around this time. But this is around 9 a.m. Central is where it usually starts to pick up. So we're about 10 minutes away from that. So we'll see. We got 640 in the chat though. Thank you guys so much for coming in. We are 3 likes, by the way, away from 100 likes. So let's hit that like button, guys, if you guys are enjoying the stream and enjoying the hype here today, because we're going to be going all throughout this trade deadline process and you won't want to miss a single thing. It's going to be a lot of fun here. Rate the Canucks rebuild so far. I mean, with the deals they made, I would say like a C+. I mean, the Quinn Hughes deal, I think they got some pretty interesting value back. But still, the fact that they needed to in the first place is a little bit disappointing. Will coming in with the $5 donation. Thank you, buddy. Let me put you as the last donor here. Let's see. There we go. Will is now the last donator, and now let me get to your question, big man. If JBB makes a move, Bjorkstrand, Geeky, and or Sam O'Reilly would be the pieces you'd assume, right? Especially Geeky. Yeah, if Tampa were to make like a bigger move, I think Connor Geeky is the most likely, 100%. Plus, I gotta say, I was right about that dude. I wasn't super high on him, though I probably should have been lower on him, honestly. But he's also another big guy that is still doing his best, so you never know what you could get in a player like that. We'll just have to wait and see. Trocheck and Schneider to Detroit. Ooh, a big package deal. I could see Schneider being interesting for the Red Wings. I mean, they've been looking for right defenseman, of course. I think they'd probably go for somebody older. Again, I think Falk just makes a lot of sense for them. But I don't know. That could be interesting. That could be interesting. The trades will come in like an avalanche come 3 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, absolutely, DSU, 100%. Hiring Foot was a mistake, but also he's a great tank commander, D'Lo. He's a great tank commander, so you got to factor that in. He's really good at losing. So, in a way, the Canucks might want to actually keep him. Who knows? Hey, Grav, I'm so excited to watch Trocheck not be traded today. Yep, me too, Chili. Me too. Yep, they're going to keep him, or they're going to make a baffling trade decision that makes no sense. Trocheck's going to just come out of nowhere and allegedly just want one team to be traded to, and it's going to be like a second rounder and a mid-round prospect. So get ready. Get ready, Chili. Get ready, Rangers fans in the chat, for Chris Drury to take another L today. I'm feeling it. Both Columbus and Ottawa will overtake both wildcard spots over Boston and Montreal. Whoa. And Ottawa? And the Ottawa Senators? I wouldn't mind, but that would be pretty crazy. For sure. Willie says, over and under 1 hour until the next trade. I'd hope under. I'd hope so. Jeez, man. I need something. Give me something. Like, I don't even care if it's like, dude, give me like Oscar Sundqvist for a 7th round pick or something. I'm not even picky. I'll talk about Oscar Sundqvist for a 2nd round pick for 20 minutes if you need me to. But just give me something. Just one. All I'm asking. That's all I'm asking, man. Because this is getting ridiculous. This is getting ridiculous. Should I go in a British accent for the rest of the stream? I'm not sure. Lafreniere to Montreal. It's really bad. I'm sorry if there's any Brits in the chat. Any Habs news? Not yet, TPX. We are kind of in a stalemate when it comes to Kent Hughes right now. I imagine that there would have been a Patrick Laine deal, but that hasn't materialized yet. So we're kind of in a wait and see moment for a lot of GMs, but especially the Habs. I don't know. Do you guys think the Habs make any moves? Yes or no in the chat? Because I'm kind of leaning on the side of no, but they've also surprised us in the past a lot. So who knows? Hey, and a $5 donation comes here from Domin O'Games. Thank you for the donation, brother, with a $5. Love to see that. Who's made the better moves, the Avalanche or the Stars? Avs pivoting from Kadri to Waugh for the same price felt like a bad deal. That's actually an interesting question. Who did better between the two? Let me first get you as the last donator here. Let me see. Okay. Let me make sure. Okay, there we go. I just need to make sure I spelled the name right. I do my best, I think, a little bit. Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good there. But yeah, between the Avs or the Stars, I see the thing is they overpaid for Waugh, yeah. But I still kind of think they had the better deadline, mostly because I really like Nick Blankenburg, and I think him as insurance is nice. I like the Brett Kulak edition, though they haven't really... The Avs are still in a weird spot because they still have cap space, getting rid of the Sam Girard deal. So in a way, it feels like they've kind of downgraded from what they could have had, which would have been just Kadri and keeping Girard. Imagine something like that. But I don't know. It's very curious what the Avs have done, because it seemed like they were loading up for something, and then they used that cap space for Nick Waugh, who doesn't really have a lot of cap on his deal anyways. So it's a little bit strange. Maybe they were hoping they could get a big fish like a Trocheck, and then that of course didn't come through, like similarly to a Kadri maybe. But I'm kind of fascinated by them. I'll say that. And then Jake with the 10. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate that. Well, the donations, you guys have been killing it so far in this stream. I appreciate that a ton. Jake says, If the Wild don't make a trade at the deadline, do you think they could come up with a trade package for Tim Stützle in the offseason? Oh my goodness. I mean, I think it would take the entire team to trade for Tim Stützle out of Ottawa. That's as close to untouchable as I think you could possibly get. But it would obviously start with Jesper Wallstedt. It would have to be, I mean, I think you'd be trading, man, I think you would be trading. Is it crazy to say that, like, for the Wild to get Tim Stützle, they would have to trade, like, a Matt Boldy? I don't think that's crazy to say, because I think Tim Stützle is as close to untouchable as you could possibly get. And I just don't really know for Ottawa and their sake why they would do that, unless they're getting like a Matt Boldy and a Jesper Wallstedt and like another pick on top of that, something like that. But it would have to be massive to make that happen. And then Eric comes in with the $5. My man, you guys have been killing it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Just joined the stream. What do you think of the Karlsson to the Ducks trade? I appreciate it, Eric. It's good to see you today. Let me get you as the last one first here before I answer, because I can't focus on two things at once. I'm very, very, very dumb and very, very doo-doo. But in terms of the Karlsson deal, it's pretty interesting, because I wasn't expecting John Karlsson of all players, mostly because I wasn't expecting John Karlsson to get dealt in the first place, but he does fit what Anaheim I thought was going to do. I thought Dougie Hamilton would have been the player that they would have gone after as a right shot defenseman, but Karlsson is pretty similar in terms of the age group, still has some punch in terms of the offensive game, though has been dwindling over the years. It is very curious. I think Anaheim mostly went for the experience there and the factor of the minutes that he could end up playing. So I'm not totally against it. And I think the price was fair, but I think for Washington, it's interesting to see them going in this selling direction, but I'm not exactly opposed to it. And they could use those picks as well in the offseason. So I'm very curious about that part of it, that angle to it all. But I think for both teams, it makes a lot of sense, honestly. Cousins in a Wallstedt package? See, that I think is more realistic, Phil. I don't think Tim Stützle. I'm sorry, Jake, to burst the bubble, but yeah, I don't think Tim Stützle would be available anytime soon. But Minnesota, I do think will be in play for a center, so we will see a lot more of that for sure. Hey, we got 700 in the stream. Thank you guys for coming by. We're going to be breaking down all the news as it happens, if we actually see anything. We're in a bit of a stalemate right now. No trades have happened yet this morning. But yeah, it's been 30 minutes since the last insider tweeted out anything. So that's what we're having to deal with right now. But let us know in the chat if you guys haven't already, because I know we have some new folks coming in. We made some predictions earlier about who we think will be the first player dealt. My prediction is AJ Greer. I don't have any insider information there. I just kind of have a feeling about it. So I think AJ Greer is going to be the first one dealt. Who gets him? I don't even know. I at this point, who the heck even knows? But I also think it'll be curious if we see a debt move first or a bigger trade. But who knows? Who knows? Let us know. Let us know. Get your predictions down below. Feed my delusions, says Kaylor. Okay, I got you. Wallstedt, Urov, Stramel, 2 first, and a kiss on the cheek for Stu. Kaylor, I think I can't feed the delusions, man. You need like an impact top sixer immediately. Again, I don't think Minnesota has that in a way that they would want to trade. Like, I don't think they would want to trade a Matt Boldy. But I think they would have to. I think they would have to trade that. But I just think for Ottawa, there's no reason to trade your first line center, even if Minnesota was able to give the value that Ottawa would want. Because even though they do need some wing depth, and Boldy would be electric there, there's just not a need. And if there's not a need, it's definitely not going to happen. Smash that like button, boys. True wise. Very, very true. We got 149 likes right now, guys. One away from 150. Who's gonna be that 150 to get the clutch win in the end? We'll see. Sleepy Steve won't make a trade. Are you talking about Detroit or Ottawa's Steve Arm? I mean, Eiserman, I'm not really sure. We'll have to wait and see on him. Azol with this 279. Thank you so much. Talking about Stützle, what would be the value of Suzuki? Oh man. Ooh. The The value of Nick Suzuki, like right now, that's the thing. Think about the value of a Suzuki, and think about the value of a Suzuki, and put like another half bit of value on top of that. Like if Stützle would have needed a Boldy and a top prospect, or like a Boldy and a Wallstedt in a first, Nick Suzuki would need Boldy, Wallstedt, a first, a roster player, another like first round equivalent player, maybe another pick on top of that. Like Nick Suzuki is invaluable to Montreal. Invaluable. Not just for the play, but the leadership and how he's commanded himself as that captain, his age, his defensive game, and how well it could translate to the playoffs, how well it has translated to the playoffs. There's very few players the Montreal Canadiens would even consider trading him, let alone trading him for a package that also might not even have a player on the level of Suzuki. To me, he is a top 10 center in this league for his whole body of work, for the way he plays, and similar to the Stützle, but even more so for Montreal. That's a player you cannot give up. Ottawa has pretty good center depth. Montreal does not. After Suzuki, it's a little bit murky. They have solid players, but nothing that will be able to take that over. In Ottawa's case, you can maybe make the argument that Cousins could round out to be an okay first-line center, but that's like best case scenario. In Montreal's case, Oliver Kapanen? Like, what would be the deal there? So it would have to be just a massive amount, and I don't see Montreal doing that. Caden, what's going on? Gonna see it in the chat. Nick Foligno to the Jackets for future considerations would be my guess. That's an interesting one, Blake. I know that Anthony, the prospect on, mentioned Foligno yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised. I know that he's also available too. Hey, Coco with a $5 donation. Thank you, man. Saying, is Drury fired yet? Unfortunately not. Very unfortunately, no. And I think he's going to screw up the Trocheck situation, just like he did with the Panarin situation, though that was a little bit different in terms of the context. But yeah, Coco, I'm so sorry to say that not yet, though I think that day will eventually come. Let's just say that. But thank you so much, Coco. Let me get some hype in the chat for you. I've been so preoccupied with yapping that I haven't given the hype to the donators. So thank you, and a big thank you to all you guys. Fun exercise thinking about the value of players and how much the team will be, and how much the team they are on impacts their value. Absolutely. I love the question for sure, dude. And I appreciate it a ton. I love how Rangers fans are embracing the tank and then win yesterday. Yeah, it's they never decide what they want to be. They're always all over the place. Hey, no center depth. You can always trade for EP40. I'm sure you would love for a team to trade for EP40, Fuzzy Wuzzy. Good to see you in the chat, dude. eLiaminator, good to see you as well. Does Ottawa do anything else? I feel like they must have something else in the works. You'd think so, right? But I don't know. Like, man, I mean, I'll just say this. Ottawa should have gone after John Carlson. That would have been sick. Though you're also running the risk of having like a Nick Jensen situation in like 2 years' time. So I could kind of understand it, but I don't know. Also, I don't know. I feel like it could have been interesting. Hey, and then a $5 donation from 6 Questions Lens. Thank you, dude. What do you think of the AJ Greer return to Colorado? Wait, is AJ Greer confirmed? Is AJ Greer confirmed, chat? I mean, if AJ Greer were to go to Colorado, it would not surprise me. I could so easily see that happening. I was thinking more Bobby McMahon for the Avs pre this whole process, but it seems like the Leafs are going to end up keeping him, I would imagine. So that's probably off the table. But I would imagine for the Avs, well, actually, let's see what picks they have, because that's what really matters. Because as I mentioned before, I think Greer for like a 3rd and a 5th, that's around the value that I would imagine he gets. But if Colorado doesn't have those picks, then yeah, they don't even have a 3rd round pick. Colorado does not have a 3rd round pick until 2029, guys. They do not have a 3rd round pick in the next 3 drafts. They don't have a 1st round pick in the next 2 drafts. They don't have a 2nd round pick in 2026 and 2028. So they are a pick strapped team. We'll just say that. They do have a 2027. They have 2 2027 second rounders. Theirs and Minnesota's. I could see a situation where it's like Colorado's 2027 second rounder and Colorado gets Greer and like a 4th round pick or something. Maybe something similar to that. I'm not quite sure, but that's maybe some of the value we would see. But thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it a ton. And yeah, the Greer package I think is going to be fascinating because with how much these bottom sixers have been getting this year, man, at this point, why not a first rounder? Why not? But I appreciate it a ton, dude. And let's get you now as the last donator. My goat on the screen. Ovi for Line straight up. Why would Washington do that? Arthur, all respect. If Washington's going to trade Ovi, and because I think having a player like that on your franchise his entire career is so valuable. And also, why would Ovi want to leave? Even if it would be sick as hell, why would he want to leave Washington at this point in his career, right? There's not really a reason. Dougie Hamilton to the Wings. Ooh, that could be interesting. I think the term is the only thing that holds that back, since I think they'd eventually want ASP to get those opportunities. But that is curious. That is very, very curious. Hey, thank you for the $1 nation, Armpit Lover, my goat. We had Butthole in the chat last time around, and now we have Armpit Lover. Love to see that. Love to see that. It's the $1 Canadian. That's what's funniest about it. Armpit Lover. Love it. Love it, baby. Love it. And the shout out to the John Pork profile picture, by the way. Love it, too. Because Line is a generational talent. He was a generational talent before Fortnite came out. Afterwards, that's where the problems arose for Line. Hey, thank you for the donation, Mr. Sportsfan 231 with the Australian, I believe, $8. Happy Ducks fan right here. Curious if Verbeek has other moves in mind. Probably not, just because the Karlsson contract is so massive. Wasn't Karlsson making like $9 million? Was there? And let me know in the chat if I'm wrong. I don't think there was any retention on that deal. At least from what I remember. Karlsson is at $8 million. Oh, I didn't realize. I thought he had more term on his contract. He's a rental, so that's intriguing. That's intriguing there. But yeah, I wouldn't expect it, just because it seems like they took at least $8 million off the Karlsson deal, and I don't really see there being many other needs for the Ducks right now. So I would say they would stand. If I were to make the guess, I think they end up just standing pat for the rest of it, because I mean, John Karlsson was a pretty big deal to make, already giving up their first round pick. So maybe it's like a depth wing or something they could go after, maybe an AJ Greer, but that would be the most I would expect. Will Sill, thoughts on Michelli getting moved? I could easily see it. In Toronto, that system is just not a fit for him. He really needs that like fast pace, fast, quick play system, and Toronto is not that in any way. So I would hope he does. And then we got a $1 donation from Gravitech Mod. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. We had like 3 back-to-back donations. I appreciate it a ton from Mr. Sports Fan, Will Sill, and then Gravitech Mod coming here at the very end. Let me get you as the last donor, my man. Perfect. And poor Will wanted to be the last donator. He almost did. But then Gravitech Mod came into the last second there. Let's see. Blackhawks are going to make the playoffs. Hot take. This year's playoffs? The 2026 playoffs? The Blackhawks? Intriguing. What moves do you think the Montreal Canadiens are going to do? PJG, I don't think I'm putting my stake down, dang it. I'm knocking on the wood. Montreal does not make a single move. Montreal does not make a single move, man. I'm saying it right now. I'm calling it right now. They are going to stand pat. They are going to be boring this time around, which is rare for Kent Hughes to do. He is rarely boring. If you could say as much as you want about Kent Hughes, but he is not boring, that man. I think they're going to be boring this time around. Maria, hi, I'm new to the NHL. This may be a stupid question, but will trades made today apply to this season or next season? So, Maria, for the trade deadline this year, it happens kind of like 60% into the season. So it does apply for the rest of this year in the playoffs. That's why you do see a lot of trades usually, is because teams that are in the playoff position want to really load up for the playoffs this year. So yes, all the trades we will see, those guys will be on their NHL teams pretty much as soon as they get made. I mean, they get flown out pretty soon afterwards. So in the cases of some of the guys, we could see maybe some players that we saw traded recently, playing today, playing tomorrow. So it happens super quick. Simono saying Fortnite ruins so many people. Dude, it's ruining me lately. My my girlfriend and her friends mostly play that as their like one video game, and I'm usually somebody that is super varied. I'm a Nintendo guy mostly, and I've gotten hooked. I played it like right when it came out for a little while. Didn't really do much for me because I didn't really have anybody to play with. Now that I do, it's like, okay, I get it now. I get it now. You have adventure time in Fortnite. Yeah, I get it now. I understand. Red Wings get Dominik Hasek again. Isn't he like 60? Hey, Dominik Hasek, I still think could play in the NHL. That guy could do anything. That guy could do anything. By the way, right now we are 1 like away from 200. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Let's get that up there. We got 750 people in the chat. Thank you guys for coming in. Stick with us today. We're going to be breaking all the trades as it happens. Hopefully something happens. Dear God, I like at this point, but we'll see. It seems like there is a massive stalemate right now, and we'll see if anybody ends up budging. We're going to be refreshing as we go here. From David Pagnotta, we know Toronto will be active today. Barring a change in the team's current stance, the Maple Leafs are expected to trade Bobby McMann today, with multiple suitors in play. So there we go. An update recently on McMann. In the case of the Leafs, where they have been going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back between whether they actually want to trade McMann or not. But it seems like they actually will be trading McMann. So boys and girls, let us know in the chat, where does McMann end up? I'm going to still say Colorado. I still feel like Colorado is a good fit for him. Jurt, what is the price for Falk? I don't think, you guys can let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've heard necessarily the exact ask for Falk, but I would imagine with what we've seen recently, it would be like a first rounder and a mid-tier prospect, something like that. Let's see. Yeah, that is the thing, technician. You technically can make trades after today, but they won't be eligible for the playoffs. So not really much of a reason to. Washington reportedly looking for... excuse me. Washington reportedly looking for a score with term. That doesn't surprise me. They could use a bit more of that for sure. 100%. Well, I think the Michael McCarron deal is what first broke the market, but the Nick Waugh deal is what really sealed it. Chili, who is your Gen 10 starter choice? Oh, let's freaking go, bro. Let's freaking go. All right. So I know that everybody likes Pom Bomb the most. I know that everybody likes Pom Bomb the most. I understand it. It's a Pomeranian, of course. But to me, at least, the most interesting out of the three is Gekwa. And I don't usually go for water starters, and they've kind of disappointed me, at least not recently, because I did like Gen 9's Final Evolution. I think it was kind of funny. But I just think in terms of just a little gecko, I like a little gecko. I just like a little gecko. I like a little gecko. I'm just saying I like it. And Brown is funny, but I also just think he's a bit too Rowlet pilled for me, and I feel like it's kind of I feel like it's kind of an invasion of Rowlet's whole identity. So I'm kind of I'm against Brout on principle, but it would be between Pom Bomb and Gekwa. But I think Gekwa is just the most unique out of the three, and at least to me the most like stylized. And I think there's a lot of potential for what he could end up being. So I think I'm gonna end up going for him. But I could be convinced either way. I could be convinced. I just had to get some Pokemon in there, guys. I'm sorry. It just had to happen. It had to happen. Probably Seattle for Shane Wright to the Maple Leafs. Yeah, Shane Wright going. That would be. I mean, at this point, Shane Wright. I don't know if we're actually going to see a trade, but who knows? Washington could have just gotten Garland if they wanted that. Yeah, and I feel like the price wouldn't have been too bad, but they seem to be kind of in a selling position right now. It's strange. Let's see. Water type. Yeah, me too. I feel like I don't usually go for the water types typically, unless it's Totodile. Totodile is my goat, man. He's my goat. I love that dude. I love my little guy, my little gator guy. But yeah, usually I go for the fire starters. That's usually my route. But I went for I had to go for Fuecoco last time. He was just easily the best. This time though, I think they're pretty even, which I do like better. But it is interesting. You know, Gekwa will have the coolest final evolution. That's what I'm thinking, Dan. That's what I'm thinking. Like, just in terms of how they look. I also am really scared of Pom Bomb going on 2 legs and I just can't really stand that. It happened with Incineroar, and I mean, Incineroar is cool, but I also think, I just have a feeling that Pom Bomb is going to be super, like, just another type of, like, on its 2 legs type of fire starter, and I think that's just kind of boring. Gekko, I think, has the most potential for, like, something really unique. Anyways, that's the last bit of Pokemon I'll mention, but Michael Hage, plus a first-round pick, top 10 protected, a second-rounder in 2027, Owen Beck for Robert Thomas. Would it make sense for either team? Honestly, I think you need to put more. I think you need to put up more, Rob. I think either it's an Oliver Kapanen instead of an Owen Beck, maybe even another prospect on top of that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But I think it would be Michael Hage a first, a second, and Kapanen. Do you guys think that would get it done? It'd be interesting. Did you see Marco DiMarco's update on Kadri 4 minutes ago? No, I did not. Actually, let me. I know he's pretty connected. So let me get him on notifications here, just in case. You never know. Marco says on the Nazem Kadri front, ownership is unwilling to retain on his deal, which significantly limits the market for him. Believed that the Flames had a deal in place with the Avalanche, but with retention off the table, the Avs pivoted to Nick Waugh, and it's a tough spot for Craig Conroy. Can we just say, can we get some L's in the chat for the Flames owners? Are they this cheap? Or like, well, I guess not cheap is the right way to say it, but like, are they this stuck in their butt about this? What, like, why? Kadri only has like 3 years left on his contract, and Calgary's not going to be in a major contending position. And they have all the cap space in the world too. I just, especially to make the deal happen, to make the deal really work, man, that's a shame. That's a dang shame right there, man. Can we get some L's in the chat for the Flames ownership? They need to just frig off. Yeah, a lot of goalies are in play per Kevin Weeks, 100%, and some under the radar ones like Anthony Stolarz too. Also on top of that, guys like Stuart Skinner that could be flipped. That would be pretty funny. What would it take for the Sharks to get into Mets? Man, we were talking about this a lot in the stream yesterday. I feel like a lot of people we were seeing a lot of like William Eklund for Nemets plus, but I don't know if it would be quite that. Maybe like a Mario Ferraro could go back to New Jersey, possibly. Maybe I could see it. Ryker become a PokeTuber. I would let him do like a channel on like either like Nintendo or like just movies. And I just don't have enough time, man. Like that's just the biggest thing. I love to like branch out and do that, but I wouldn't be able to make the videos good enough to actually like be successful because I just don't have the time to make those videos as good as I can. I'm already spending as much time as I can making the videos on this channel as good as I can. So I'm kind of in a tough spot with that, but it's also, I'm also fine just keeping those thoughts to myself. But also, I could absolutely yap for hours, 100%. Grav and chat, which team do you think wins the day? Wins today, Dozer? Somebody's got to make a trade to win today, dude. We have to see a trade to have a winner and a loser. At that point, who I think would win the day? I don't know, man. Maybe Washington, since again they're the like only team that has made a trade besides Anaheim today, in the John Carlson deal technically. And I'm intrigued by them going in kind of a seller's direction. So maybe Washington if they have another couple moves in them, possibly. Also, it was interesting because in the bold predictions video for you guys, when I reacted to your bold predictions, one of you guys said Kent Johnson to Washington, and now that the Caps have another first round pick, I'm kind of curious about that. Huh. Like, could the Cavs more realistically now actually go out and get him? Because I think that's a possibility. Absolutely. And I think in Washington, he would be really interesting. So do we think they go after him? Do we think it's the time? I don't know. Could be interesting. Somebody check Logan Stanley's contract to see if there's undisclosed clause. If he does, take away Ottawa's first. Yeah, you just gotta every single trade you gotta make sure that you take away Ottawa's first round pick. Everyone in Detroit is sick of Stevie Y sitting on his hands. Yeah, man. I thought that Detroit was gonna really be in play for some interesting ones. They seem to be in on Justin Falk a little bit, but haven't pulled the trigger. They were in on. We've heard a lot about them being linked to Robert Thomas, but that of course has not happened. but they have the prospect pool to make a massive deal, and I really want them to. So come on, Steve. Excuse me. Come on, man. Make it happen. Thoughts on Blake Coleman to the Jackets to shore up the penalty kill? Dan, I would have said pretty likely if we hadn't seen the Connor Garland deal, which I think kind of fills the need of a Blake Coleman pretty effortlessly. I don't see Columbus going after both of those guys, especially now that Connor Garland's contract, that big deal, will be kicking in this summer. I just don't quite see that. Since Garland can penalty kill, he can be in that type of role. I just feel like he kind of checks a lot of the same boxes, and I don't know if they would go for both of them. But hey, it would be great. It would be great to talk about one single trade. Dude, is the NHL rage baiting me? Genuinely? Is the NHL rage baiting me? I think they are, man. I think they genuinely are. Because this is getting a bit ridiculous. There hasn't been a single trade so far, and I am dying. I am dying. This is so sad, man. Ottawa has no need for another center. That is true. Greetings from Germany. Are the Islanders going to do something? Dirk, we'll see. They've been in on a lot of different guys. We heard that Jordan Kyrou they were in on, but they've already made a lot of moves this whole season. So I'd be curious to see if anything else happens, but I would probably say no, unless it's like a major deal like a Robert Thomas. But I don't think that ends up actually happening, at least for me personally. Oh, we got a big deal, folks. We actually have a trade. We have a trade. Bobby Brink to the Minnesota Wild. Whoa, baby. Oh, baby. Let's get this thing going. Where is it? There we go. From Michael Russo, the Minnesota Wild. Billy G. We got something. We got something, ladies and gentlemen. Bobby Brink to the Minnesota Wild is confirmed. They're working on a trade for the Flyers, and Michael Russo wonders if they're dangling David Jiricek or a prospect of that ilk. Interesting. Bobby Brink on the move. Good for him, man. The effort in his game, the relentless physicality, even for a smaller forward. It is intriguing to see Minnesota go after him, though. I was curious to see if they would go for another winger. I like that addition a lot for Minnesota. We're going to see what the trade package actually looks like here, looking pretty soon. But Bobby Brink is going to Minnesota, and I like that. I like that a lot. What are we thinking, boys and girls? We finally have a trade. We got something, and it's a pretty intriguing one too. So I'm loving that. I'm loving that. And yeah, Will with the 2 saying I called it. What did I say? That was a generational poll, dude. Are you kidding? That was a generational poll. Can we get some W's in the chat for Will? He predicted Bobby Brink would be the first trade of the day. That is crazy. That honestly, that's one of the greatest predictions I've ever seen in my life. Bobby Brink was like a potential option, but like not somebody that was really in trade rumors. So that is pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. But for you guys that don't know, Bobby Brink is something that I've liked for a long time, dating back to the 2019 NHL draft. He was a 34th overall pick back in that draft class. Really smaller player at 5'8", but does not play like it. And he's something that in Philly has really been able to ramp up his play. Got 41 points in 79 games last year. This year, slight regression in his point production, but still on pace for 18 goals and 36 points. A fantastic middle six piece, something that with his physicality and relentless play is going to be a really good Swiss Army knife for your team. For Minnesota especially, I like it considering his age at just 24 years old. So they get a player here that's cost controlled, has really interesting habits, and is pretty cheap right now at 1.5 million. So he's something that I think in terms of that Wild group could really benefit it. And in terms of that type of style, I think he could really be intriguing. Now, in terms of the actual package coming back, we are starting to get a lot more details. Going back to the Philadelphia Flyers here, apparently it's just David Jiricek. Wow. 1-for-1, boys and girls. We have a 1-for-1. The Wild trade David Jiricek, defensive prospect they got from the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for Bobby Brink. And I like that deal a lot for the Wild. David Jiricek is somebody that's kind of stagnated in a lot of ways, hasn't been able to find his footing in the NHL yet. I like that a lot for Minnesota. I gotta say, I think for Jiricek, he can still be an NHLer, but I like that a lot for Minnesota. I think that is an absolute W for them. I think that is an absolute W. Just trading Jiricek, I thought it would have been like Jiricek in like a 4th or a 3rd or something, but they get him for not that much whatsoever. Jiricek, I'm not the biggest fan of. I just think he hasn't been able to improve his skating, hasn't been able to improve his anticipation of play, and that's kind of been the big problem with him, is that decision making with both his skating and without the puck. And even though Philly could get something here, we'll have to wait and see on that. Bobby Brink is a pretty for sure player, somebody that's going to be rock solid for a long time. Let us know in the chat, who wins this deal, Minnesota or Philly? We finally have a trade. Oh my goodness. I've been waiting for so long. Oh man. What a deal by Billy G though, man. What a deal. I love it. And we got a donation here, $5 from Vol Bill. Thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate it. Saying, I don't know what the Preds should do. I feel like they are stuck in hell. Should they blow it up or sell parts, but not the main bait? I would go full sell mode personally, Bill. That's kind of though how I've viewed Nashville the past couple years. I don't think they've ever been a team that's been, at least recently, been at the level to be a real contender in the playoffs. And at that point, I just don't think it was right for them, especially now that Saros has kind of regressed to the level that he's gone to. I think the writing is on the wall for them, but they still, of course, want to be more competitive, mostly because of the ownership, I would imagine. Wow. Man, Minnesota! Minnesota! What a trade. I like that a lot for Minnesota, guys. I just got to say, for Philly, in David Jiricek's case, good base of physicality. He has a great slap shot too. So there are things to work with in Jiricek's case. I just don't think he has progressed much since his draft year, or at least as much as you'd want. And he's kind of in a weird no man's land situation where he's still trying to find his identity, still trying to find what works in the NHL. But there is your 1-for-1 deal. I like that a lot. I like that a lot, man. I mean, Minnesota, I think also cutting bait from David Jiricek and still getting a player like Bobby Brink is awesome for them, considering Jiricek's value is absolutely the lowest it's ever been. Granted, considering what they traded for him to begin with, and what was it, like a 1st and a 3rd round pick, it was a little bit of a failed experiment. But I like that Minnesota was aggressive in the first place, and in this case, knew when to cut the bait. You know what I mean? That I think was pretty important for them, and I think they did a pretty good job in cutting that bait. Then we got a $2.79 donation from Armpit Lover again, John Pork for Nick Jensen. Do you think John Pork, guys, do we think John Pork gets traded today? I don't know about that. I mean, he has a no trade clause also, full no move. I don't know about that. I don't know. I think John Pork's just too valuable these days, especially for Nick Jensen. Are you kidding me? Nah, no way. No way. Think Chicago does anything more? I mean, they still have a couple options on the table, like Nick Foligno, that they could end up dealing. But I think they're big guys like Murphy and Dickinson. They did a really good job in dealing. So if Chicago's done, I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. Brink is not a 4th liner, TML. He scored 41 points last year at 23 years old. Now, granted, he could be played in like 4th line minutes. That could be a possibility, but he's a 3rd liner. He's a good 3rd line player. Not going to be a make or break player for your team, but is still a really valuable piece, in my opinion, at least. Also scored 41 points in the Flyers. Like, that's awesome. Thoughts on DJ Moore to the Bills? Your guess is as good as mine, man. I do not pay attention to football. I'll say that. And I don't even want to as a Cowboys fan. I don't want to pay attention to football. There's a player called Pork. Yeah, TML. You haven't heard of him? He's a superstar in this league, dude. Casuals in my chat. Picking up a young right-handed D in a move before Philly moves Risto. Oh, that's a good point, Ovi. That's a really good point, actually. So yeah, I mean, Ristolainen also is another one that, as a right-handed D, has been on the market for a while, and is a very likely guy to get dealt. Though with how much we've seen some of the other defensemen get, I'm very curious to see what he ends up catching. But yeah, seems like this is kind of a move to secure things before that Ristolainen deal, which makes a ton of sense for Philly, 100%. Even if I think the value was still a bit off, I still think that's pretty good. All right, let's see. Anything else? Maybe now that we have the Bobby Brink deal, we'll start to see it really come in. I'm hoping at least. By the way, with the deal, Minnesota adds $1.5 million in net cap hit. So again, we got it confirmed. It is a 1-for-1 deal. Wow, man. Minnesota. We also got some notes here from David Pagnotta saying that the Flyers, who just traded Bobby Brink, are also in talks about Delorier, Grundstrom, and Ristolainen. The Sabres are shopping goalie Devon Levi. The Panthers are exploring Bobrovsky options and adding a goaltender. And the Ducks allegedly aren't done and are looking for a top 6 winger. Okay. The Ducks one fascinates me the most because they just traded for John Carlson on that right side of the defense. And now they could be trading for a top 6 wing. Who do we think it is, guys? Who do we think it is? Is there anybody that would fit that well? Maybe like a Blake. No, I don't think Blake Coleman is top 6 caliber, even though I like him a lot. I wouldn't call him a top 6 wing. Maybe. I would have said Connor Garland before he got dealt. Is AJ Greer a top 6 forward? Maybe Kyrou from Ronald, maybe. I mean, they would have the assets to make that happen. That would be sick, by the way. That would be sick. Kyrou could be interesting. Yeah, Kent Johnson, intriguing. Bobby McMahon, he's definitely a Verbeek player, although not sure he's a top 6 guy. Yeah, I mean, you could make the case that he could play on a top 6, but is he a top 6 winger? That's the question. I don't think so. But pretty similar to like a Brink type of player, where I think he's like a third line player that can play up in the top 6. Hey, thank you for the 2, Saya. I appreciate that. So, would you say that Columbus won the Juracek trade? 100%. Like, looking back on that, the value they got for Juracek, they traded him at the right time. Like 100%. While that value was still high, they knew they weren't going to play him much. So, you might as well have traded him while they did. So, yeah, I would say for sure. Without a doubt. Thank you, though, for the donation, Saya. I appreciate that. And by the way, thank you. I've seen a lot of people who have donated for the first time today. It really does mean a lot. And the support has been awesome today for the trade deadline. It's been a ton of fun so far. You guys have made it so much fun. And we're going to keep it going, guys. We're going to keep it going. Have as much fun as possible. Oh, man. I'm just glad we saw something, guys. Now that we saw a single trade, I love that. I love that so much. Let's actually pull up while we can. Because, I mean, for both teams here in Minnesota and for Minnesota and in the case of Philly, let's just go through what we could potentially see on the forward side here for Minnesota now that they do have a Bobby Brink. I don't know if this will actually form out well. Okay, you guys can kind of see. You guys can kind of see the forward group here for Minnesota. I mean, in terms of Brink, I mean, they already traded for Robbie did they claim Robbie Fabry off of waivers? They already brought in Michael McCarron, so they're really looking to solidify that bottom 6, which I think is the right call for them, considering how many good options they have in that top 6, even though center-wise it's a bit thin. But, I mean, pretty easily could see him replacing the Yakov-Trenton spot on that third line, and maybe you have a Yurov McCarron or a Yurov Fabry line there, but it certainly makes them a lot more threatening on that bottom 6, because that was really the big issue for this Minnesota team. So you look at that, and it makes a lot of sense why Minnesota would do this deal. Also, just because the value is I think, in their favor by a pretty clear margin, too. Levi to the Sens for Reimer? Ryker, I would assume that Levi has a bit more value than that. I would assume. By the way, we got 1,000 people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Hit that like button if you haven't already. We are 6 likes away from 267. So make sure you get that going if you guys are enjoying the hype and enjoying the stream so far. We're going to be here for the rest of the deadline, so do not go anywhere. We're going to be having the greatest time today. Also, hit that subscribe button if you're new too. We're going to be doing a lot of live streams all throughout this whole process. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and you will not want to go anywhere but here. And we'll see how it goes. Hello, Gilly. Good to see you in the chat. By the way, if you guys haven't said hi yet, drop some highs in the chat. I'll be shouting you guys out if you guys haven't said hi yet. Kyrou to the Ducks. I could see that. Again, I especially for the options the Ducks have. Besser or DeBrusque to Anaheim. DeBrusque probably more likely, but I think Besser could be fascinating. Though I don't know if he would want to leave Vancouver, even if it's gone as badly as it has recently. Willie Nylander to the Ducks. Imagine, Chris. Raquel back to the Ducks will be fascinating. That would be really fun. Just because of how good Raquel was back in the day with the Ducks, man. Prime Raquel on the Ducks fed so many families, guys. Like, it was... Kids these days won't understand, genuinely. 2017, Ricard Raquel, nothing like it, man. Nothing like it. It was generational. It was generational. Jacob, what's going on? We also got Hexram coming by. We got Phil Reels. Good to see you, dude. Bob Ross, JC Gaming, Buddy B02. We got Just a Penguins fan, too. Good to see you guys come by. Welcome to the stream. Has Tampa done anything? Not yet, John. Not as of now. But they're in an interesting spot with the lack of cap space. But I also don't think Tampa needs to do anything necessarily, at least to me. I'm gonna feed you a knuckle sandwich. No, Joel, don't. No, don't do it. What would it cost for the Wild to get Jack Hughes? A lot. Too much for Minnesota. Do you want to get rid of the entire team? Well, then there you go. Thank you for live streaming, Grav. The people with Sports Center are so jarring. Hey, Willie, I got you. We're gonna be having all the fun here today, and we're gonna be breaking all the news as live as they are, anyways. So you might as well stick with us here. Sam with the $2. Thank you, dude. Good morning, Grav. And hot take: the Caps trade Ovi. Ooh, Nelly. I know somebody suggested that earlier too. I would be shocked. I'll just say that. But thank you for the donation, dude. I appreciate that. Let me get you here. Sam Collins is our last donator. My goat coming through. I appreciate that. How's it going, Govich? Good to see you today. Alicia Atwood, hello. Would be amazing if Jason Robertson came to the Wings. Oh, he'd be a great fit there, which is why I can't let him go. No, it can't happen. Go Stars. Max, welcome to the stream. I have no money, so no voice. Wrong, J-Boy. I see you in the chat. Nylander does need to go from Toronto, but I don't really see as a deadline move. Matthews and him don't really have good chemistry. Yeah, I don't. If they were going to make a move like that, it would be off season, 100%. Personally, I don't think the Red Wings should do too much. Why build up a core for years to trade it away for rentals? I mean, I don't think they would be trading most of the core necessarily. At least I wouldn't imagine they would. They have so many prospects that they can just afford to trade those guys, and also the picks that they probably aren't going to use anyways. So I don't think it would be much of a problem. Yeah, by the way, there was a little bit of lag earlier. I don't know if it's still the case. You guys can let me know. I think we should be a bit better now, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Why would anybody want Ovi? Just for the vibes, I would imagine. The vibes might be great. Leia, thank you for the 5. Oh, I almost did it again. Or I did do it again. Thank you for the $5 donation, though, my man. My boy Leif coming in today. You know who would... Yo, he's spitting though. He was spitting there. Who people should feel a knuckle sandwich? Darren Traeger, not actually, but still I had to pick someone that's not you. Yeah, he hasn't had the greatest week. I'll just say that. He has not had a banner week for sure. Sniper targets for the Islanders, obviously Kyrou, but anybody else. Kyrou is interesting because he has had good goal scoring seasons, but he's kind of inconsistent with it. So I don't know how reliable he is in that role. So we'll have to wait. He's a funky player though, man. When you get him motivated, he is perfectly fine, and he can be that type of guy. But it's kind of hard to get him there. You know what I mean? That's kind of the problem to me, at least. Oh, why did my... Okay. We should be okay. For some reason, my webpage just completely lagged out of nowhere. But thank you for the $5, Jake, my man, coming through again. Jake's had multiple donations, by the way, tonight. Let me get some love for him in the chat here. But Jake says, do you think adding Brink means the Wild could add Banach in a trade package, or do you think Banach has more upside than Brink? Ooh, I would say Brink in terms of, I mean, upside is the question, because I think Brink has much more translatable play, but Banach has some real interesting potential, even if he is a smaller player. I think Brink is more NHL translatable, but Banach has, if he pops, could be something real special. I would say Banach is a trade piece, though, for sure. And for Minnesota, he's a real nice prospect to have, but I don't think is an untouchable one by any means. So that's kind of what I see out of it. Danny, thank you for the $5 donation. Not even a message, but this guy just comes in with the dono and the love there. Thank you for it, brother. I appreciate that. Let me get you as the last donator here. Danny, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Big time, big time. Hey, Grav, what would the Sabres need to give up to get Matthew Knies? Oh, man, imagine Matthew Knies in that Sabres team with, like, Josh Doan, Zach. I mean, you would be trading a Doan or a Benson. I think Benson would be an automatic, basically. It would be, like, Benson, a first-round pick, probably, like, a big D, maybe even a D, like a Bowen Byram. That's kind of what I would see, honestly. It would be a lot to get, especially if you're trading in division. That's the big thing. If you're trading in division, that makes a big difference. Thoughts on the Jackets moving Jenner? I think his trade value is pretty high. I would love to see them move Jenner, man. He's a real versatile player. I think could get some real underrated value, similar to like a Ryan O'Reilly in that type of way. But also Columbus seems to be in a buyer mode right now, so I'm not sure they actually make a deal like that, as much as it could be a net positive in terms of value. The Flyers need to make a trade for a center. Yeah, it seems like similarly for the Stars and right shot defensemen and making the right moves there, the Flyers are pretty scared of making center moves, which is always so strange to me. Multiple donations tonight. I know these trades are taking a while, but dang, Grav. I'm tired, man. I don't usually stream at 9:42 a.m. Central Time. Usually that's not the case, so I'm not used to this. I'm literally not built for this. Hey, Grav, the Austrian painter was right about the trade for the German. Greg, what are we saying here? Let's see. Daily reminder when the Flames attempted to trade for Ovi. True. Sources tell the San Jose Sharks are cooking up a deal for Austin Matthews. Oh, 100%. 100% happening. How many trades do we think we could get today? Jacob, I hope we'll see more than one. That's the hope. I think we'll see a lot more, though, as the deadline gets a lot closer. It seems like we're in a really big stalemate, though. Like, we're in a really big stalemate. I don't know if the Bobby Brink deal is going to be like a domino. I don't really think it's going to be like a domino situation, because I don't think Bobby Brink was like the big pillar keeping the trade deadline at bay. I don't know. I don't really think that was the case. But I think when it comes to Brink specifically, he's going to be a weird one, because I feel like he can get back to that 40, 45 point level. I even think that 50 points is in play for a Matthew Knies. For me, at least. I think that could be the case. I just think he kind of needs the right situation around him. Philly, in terms of the play style, but he didn't really have much support in that bottom six. So I'm curious to see how he does shape out for Minnesota, but I think it's a good fit there. Isn't Brink from Minnesota too? Am I going crazy about that? But I feel like he is. So that also is pretty fun. Let's see. Okay, we got another update here from David Pagnotta saying we got a few updates here on a bunch of teams. So for a lot of people asking about Montreal, we do have this here. In terms of the notes here with David Pagnotta, the Dallas Stars are exploring adding another forward. So I would assume likely a wing there for the Blues, and the price on Falk has to drop if he moves. So it seems like the Blues are asking a lot for him. I mean, if it has to drop from the move, it probably is like a first round pick and like a top prospect or something. So Maybe it bumps down to like a first round pick and a medium prospect. The Caps are not done dealing, allegedly. So whether that's selling or buying, we'll have to wait and see on that. The Preds hollow market is softening right now. The Sharks are lurking for a winger and a top 4D. Dude, if the Sharks trade for another winger and not a defenseman, I'm going to explode. And then Samuel Montembeault from the Montreal Canadiens is in play, which actually isn't that surprising considering Dobach has actually been playing pretty well as of late. But Montreal could be trading Montembeault. Interesting. Guys, let me know in the chat. Do we see it happening? Do we see a Montembeault trade? But that's just another goaltender added to the options available, whether it's Bobrovsky, Binnington, you got Stuart Skinner for some reason in there, Wallstedt, we have apparently Stolar's also in play, so Merzlikins also is a possibility, Montembeault also a possibility. That's pretty fascinating. By the way, got some Simply Orange fueling me today. Yeah, so apparently Montembeault. What do you guys think? Do we see a Montembeault trade? Do we see a Montembeault trade? We'll have to wait and see here. I'm curious. Montembeault wouldn't surprise me considering how things have gone lately. Oh, from Nicolas Cloutier, the reports are from Renaud Lavoie that the Flyers would like to get a first-round pick, a prospect, and another piece for Ristolainen. What? Dude, this market is crazy. This market is wild. A first-round pick, a prospect, and another piece for Ristolainen? Are we joking? I like Ristolainen, dog. I'm not even touching that with a 10-foot pole, dude. What is going on? Maybe the translate by Grok isn't correct or something. I hope so, because that is insane. Like a first round pick and a prospect is already a little bit, we're getting there. But another piece? That's crazy. By the way, Lucas, thank you for the $5 donation. Hertz TVY is interested in John Pork. What's its value at this point? See, I said earlier that Detroit has all these prospects and picks, but I don't even know if they have enough for John Pork. Like we're talking McDavid level value where you're trading like your top like 5 prospects, first round pick, like an Axel Sandin Polika. Like it's all going. It's all going for John Pork because he's a generational type of prospect. Generational. All right, Greg. I'm gonna need to time. I'm gonna need to get out of here, dude. I'm gonna need you to get out of here, big man. Get out. Sorry, buddy. It's over. It's over. Especially the spam too, not even just the stupid messages. But yeah, John Pork, you have to be trading at least your whole franchise. He's just too good. He's just too good. There might not be any trades considering the market. These teams are insane. Yeah, for like the Ristolainen, the Ristolainen offer by itself is wild enough. It's crazy to me. Thoughts on Juracek? He's an interesting one. Hasn't been able to adapt to the NHL greatly yet. I think a lot of it comes down to his foot speed and just lack of quick thinking on his feet. But good raw tools, great slap shot, good use of his physicality. But that's kind of it. And he hasn't really improved much since his draft year to me. But I'm not sure. I think he still has potential, but I think maxes out as like a number 4 defenseman for you. But I think most likely is a bottom pair guy at this point. Yeah, let us know what you guys think about the Ristolainen price. I personally would not pay that. For me, at least. Marco DiMacco also gives us an update here on Brandon Carlo, saying the ask on Ristolainen is similar to what Brandon Carlo netted last year. A first, a good prospect, and an extra pick. Teams checked on the price and deemed too much for their liking as early as this morning. Let's see if the Flyers reduce their ask considering the Juracek acquisition. And that will be the interesting part of things. But at least for me, Carlo is younger than Ristolainen. I think better than Ristolainen at the same point. Cheaper than Ristolainen, considering the salary retention. Or not the salary retention. He was only making like 4.5 or whatever it was. Or with the salary retention on top of that. So I don't think it's a fair comparison because I think Ristolainen is just worse in almost every single way. I don't know. Also, less playoff experience than Carlo. Even though Carlo's younger. So that's, I don't know. I think the comparison, if Philly's wanting to get that same amount, if anybody gives that to them, I think they need to recalibrate things. That would be wild. Hey, Gold Tiger with a $2 donation. Don Sweeney hit the snooze button a few times. Eh? Oh, that's his favorite thing to do. That is his favorite thing to do. Thank you for the donation, though, Gold. I appreciate that. Let's get you as the last donator there. But I appreciate it a ton. And yeah, we'll see if the Bruins wake up. At this rate, I was kind of expecting them to go after like a Ristolainen type, but if the price is that, there's no chance, dude. There is no chance. Bro, I'm the worst mod ever. Every time I look away for a second, the trolls come in. It's okay, Ryker. They were trying to they were trying to get around you. What is going on in the chat? This person, Steve, is saying I'm white and American? Yeah. Okay. we got some interesting folks today. That's funny. Someone is smoking the good stuff in Philly. Apparently so, man. Apparently. All right, just got home. Bobby Brink, tail of the tape. I like Bobby Brink a lot, Urban. He's somebody that has a good base of physicality, intensity in his game, can play in all situations. If you want him kind of as a Swiss Army knife, he can do that. He's somebody that really is able to capitalize on his chance as well. He does a lot with very little. And I think in Minnesota's bottom six especially, that's the type of player that I think they can really capitalize on. And for the value, man, I think that's easily worth it. Hey, Mike with the membership. Thank you so much, dog. I appreciate that. You get a lot of extra perks. You can use some emoji in the chat too. Welcome to the member gang. San Jose Sharks need a defenseman. Absolutely true, man. They need a defenseman. Okay, yeah, we have just one person with a bunch of mods, guys. It seems like there is one person that just keeps spamming things. And it's in a very similar pattern in terms of their speech, so let's be on the ball here. I've been getting them banned, but I think it's just the same guy with like a bunch of alt accounts. We'll kill him. No matter what, I promise you guys. But yeah, no politics, guys. This is the NHL Trade Deadline. Lock in. There are more important things than politics, like the NHL Trade Deadline. Just ban. Yeah, they're being banned. Don't worry. Is Breako already gone? Please, for the love of God, tell me he's gone. Who's gonna tell him? Who is gonna tell him? Who's gonna tell him that? Who wants to tell? Who wants to tell Neutrali? Breako allegedly, and this has been reported, will not be waiving his no trade clause today. So Breako will be staying in St. Louis. No, you're good. You're good. You guys are good. Will, don't worry. I mean, as long as it comes up, just don't worry about it. But if it comes up, you know what to do. NHL Trade Deadline, a little bit of Pokemon. You know how it be on this channel, DVC. We can't go too long without talking about Pokemon. Does EP40 get dealt? No, I don't think so. I think the contract's just gonna be too much of a problem. That's the problem. It's just gonna be too much of a problem. And that's my thing is that there's just way too big of a gap to make a deal happen where it actually is worth it for a team to make it happen. It's just, there's too many roadblocks. There's just too much. Let's see. Does Steven Stamkos to Anaheim make sense? A 1-for-1 from Mintyukov could be in the cards. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Stamkos to the Ducks could be fun though. He could be a lot of fun. I mean, they could use another goal scorer. I kind of want to see it just for the vibes, man. Just for the vibes alone. That'd be kind of sick. Nathan, what's going on? Good to see you in the chat. Does Ottawa make another move? I sure hope so, Owen. I sure hope so. I don't think so. I don't know. Oscar, I'm doing very well today. How about you? We are almost at 10 a.m. Central. So we'll, and the actual trade deadline is at 2 p.m. Central. So we'll see how it goes. I'm very curious to see what the next big domino to fall, though, is. It seems like, again, from everything we are hearing, almost every defenseman especially, the prices are too dang high. The prices are too high and nobody is budging. That's the problem we are having here. These sellers are getting too greedy, man. They're getting too greedy, and we need to stop them. We need to get on the phones, call our representatives, and make sure that they make these trades happen, because this is just ridiculous. A first-round pick, a prospect, and another piece on top of that for Rasmus Ristolainen in 2026? Are we joking? Are we joking? Seriously. Like, this is just insane. This is just too much. This is crazy. What do you think the Jets will end up doing? Honestly, I think they've done most of what they've wanted to do. Controversy. They did a great job on that Logan Stanley deal. Maybe like a Nino Niederreiter could get dealt, like some extra pieces, but I don't see them making any major moves. What are your thoughts on the Karlsson trade? I liked it a lot for both teams. The Caps got good value there. Karlsson, I think, could be an interesting piece on the Ducks. And I think for his experience, too, he's a real interesting player to add to a different team. It's kind of just weird to see him on a different team than the Capitals, though, right? That's what's kind of freaking me out. You think Dallas is making any more moves? Allegedly, according to David Pagnotta, the Stars are looking for another forward. I would imagine another wing. At least right now. But yeah, these were the latest updates. If you guys are just coming in recently, the Stars are looking for another forward. The Blues price on Falk is too much right now. The Caps aren't done dealing. The Preds hollow market is softening. The Sharks are looking for a winger and a top 4D. And then Montembeault is in play from the Montreal Canadiens. So some real fascinating options there. I think Montembeault especially is a curious one to me, considering he's had besides this season, has been one of the better goaltenders in the NHL. So if you're able to light that fire under him, I don't know. It was one of those situations where it just felt like he cratered off a cliff, but if you can get him back to that level, who knows? Some of these prices, Ristolainen and Falk Trocheck will likely drop a bit closer to 3. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Especially in the cases of guys like Ristolainen, where we already know they're kind of building for that backup plan. That's I think pretty realistic. Do the Sharks have enough to offer to get the Mets? Absolutely. It's just whether they want to do that or not. I think you could easily trade like a William Eklund or something, or maybe even a smaller prospect like a Quinton Musty, maybe. Something like that could be interesting. Hot takes: Leafs bungle the rest of this trade deadline, and Steve Dangle yells Brad this afternoon. Transnet, honestly, probably not that crazy of a bold prediction. I'm gonna say that. Foldo, what's going on? Good to see you today. I mean, the Leafs fumbling it would be hilarious. Apparently, Bobby McMahon will be traded today. We have gotten not confirmation on that, but David Pagnotta said that he is very likely to get dealt. So he feels like he's back on the table. Do we see OEL dealt? Do we see any other crazy things? I don't know. Sam Urson for Montembeault. Ooh, Philadelphia going after Montembeault would be interesting. I don't really know. What would Montreal want in a Montembeault deal? Would they want just like pure cap space, or would they want maybe something more stabilizing? I'm not really sure. Maybe Ristolainen? Maybe like Montembeault for like Ristolainen and like a pick or something? I don't know. Could be interesting. Emil with the donation. Thank you so much, dude. Do you think Vejmelka is a good number 1 goalie? That's a good question, because I think he's kind of gone up and down with that. He's been all over the place because he's had some. It feels like it's great year, bad year, great year, bad year. Thank you so much for the donation, though, Emil. I appreciate that a whole heck of a ton. I would say generally, he's a good one. I don't think he's a great one. I would say he's a good one, though. I would say he's in that tier. It depends on how you view that, though. Is he a top 10 goalie in the league? I don't think so. But I think he's a good starter. Not a great one, though. So maybe Utah. I don't think Utah would actually want to make a trade, but hey, they might be in the market. Let's see. When do the Devils just relocate their franchise or something? Zach, I've been saying that the whole time. Houston, baby. Everyone got teams to overpay, but the Canucks got fleeced for Garland. I don't know. I mean, a second and a third is still good. Like, that equates to generally like a late first round pick, maybe. I don't know. I don't think fleece is the right word considering Garland's contract, because that's really what held things back. In a lot of ways, that $6 million deal for the long term, that is a scary proposition for a lot of teams. And that's, I think, what really held back the value there. Think the Canes make a move, perhaps Trocheck, EB40, or Ryan O'Reilly. I think O'Reilly is the most likely out of that group for the Canes pretty easily. In a way that I think is interesting. Carolina, man, I want them to do something. I want them to be aggressive, but they're also a team that doesn't really seem to be too interested in that. And it's a shame, man. It's a shame. It's a dang shame. Nice buyer's market insiders. Dude, let me show you guys. Let me show you guys the tweet I retweeted last time. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Just look at this tweet. This was a great tweet by Nicole Sherman, putting up the 2 posts from Darren Dreger and Pierre LeBrun, who, by the way, work at the same network. And this was 2 posts 2 days apart. GMs are describing the NHL landscape as a buyer's market. Tons of players in play. Keep an eye on the Buffalo Sabres. Sources say talks between Buffalo and St. Louis involving Robert Thomas are heating up. By the way, Darren Dreger, 0 for 2 on that, and he's been 0 for 1,000 in his career. Robert Thomas never went to Buffalo, so he was just clickbaiting. And the buyer's market was so hilarious because 2 days later, not even 2 days, less than 2 days later, Pierre LeBrun says, as one team exec said to me this morning, it's definitely a seller's market right now. Prices are sky high for the buyers, not an overabundance of players available either. Literally 2 days after Darren Dreger said it's a buyer's market and that there are tons of players in play. I can't stand these people. I can't. Like, genuinely, it infuriates me. These people are paid more than like 99% of the people in this stream. Like, it infuriates me. They get paid to spew absolute BS half the time and think of it as some mythical, unbelievable info when they get proven wrong a day later. It just infuriates me so much. So much. Oh, especially Darren Dreger, man. This wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened if Darren Dreger didn't block me. I'm just going to say it. His fall off happened immediately after he blocked me for calling him out for being a shill for Paul Marner in the negotiations with Mitch Marner. I will not forget, Darren. I will not forget, man. We know where your sources come from. It's very clear and obvious. It's extremely clear. Anyways. Yes, Darren Dreger does still have me blocked. And also, I'm sure he doesn't care, which it's not really his job to care. But maybe it's his job to actually get things right, which he seems to not really do a very good job at doing, curiously enough. Anyways, the silence is all Colorado's fault. They threw a first for Juan. Everyone expects ridiculous prices. Yeah, I still can't believe that, honestly. I still can't believe it. Grav is traded for Darren Dreger. Horrible trade for whoever's acquiring him. Horrible deal. What is Montreal doing? I don't know, Raphael Harvey Pinard. They're definitely not trading you. I'm not really sure. I made my prediction earlier. I think Montreal is going to be quiet today. I just have that feeling about them. And we haven't really seen anything about, like, we've heard that Montembeault could be in play, but that's pretty much it. I still can't get over this, by the way, guys. I still can't get over this. A prospect, and another piece is crazy. I don't even know how that's possible. How do you let that happen? How do you let that happen? Rangers are all-time losers. 1 cup since 1940. Could only win 3 cups with 6 teams in the league. I mean, you're not wrong. Hey, I can't pull it up, but DeBrusk is being mentioned to land in San Jose. Ooh, that could be an interesting fit. I just don't really see the point for the Sharks, man. They have so many good wing prospects, so many good forward prospects coming up. Why are they rushing this so much? I just don't really understand. That's kind of my problem with it, is that your defense on the right side has absolutely nobody. And you're going to go for more wingers? Why? Anyways, we get a little bit of an update here from David Pagnotta saying the Islanders are shopping both Duclair and Max Shabanov and also looking to add a top 6 guy. Is it Kyrou, y'all? Is it Kyrou? I don't know. Could be Kyrou. We've mentioned him a lot today, but maybe Ricard Raquel could be interesting. Ristolainen's contract, I believe. Let me make sure of this. I believe Ristolainen's contract is $5.1 million for this year and next. But let me confirm that. Because sometimes it can be stupid. Yeah, it's 5.1 million for this year and next. He doesn't have any trade protection, so that does factor in. But 5.1 million on the Ristolainen deal. How dare you say Klingberg is a nobody? I love the guy, but it's also 2026 John Klingberg, man, and it's rough. I'll just say that. So for Marco Dimeco in the potential Montembeault negotiations, he says if, and a big if, the Habs do trade for a goalie, you have to imagine, especially given the cap situation, that another goalie will be going back in the deal. Something to watch if the Canadiens go down that road later in the day. So interesting that the first thing is not the Habs trading a goalie, but trading for a goalie. So like Sergei Bobrovsky, potentially? Maybe? Something like that? Maybe so. Maybe so. That's the only thing that I think could really make a lot of sense. Unless it's Wallstedt, but also I don't really think they would trade the assets to get a Wallstedt. So, I don't know. What goalie do you guys see the Habs trading for? Would they go for like a Binnington? Maybe? I guess he is a bit younger. That is curious to me. That is very, very curious. How much of an upgrade is Binnington really in the end? I'm not sure. But we've seen, of course, he can keep teams in those big moments. So we'll see. Maybe it is a Binnington. Maybe it is. Jake Allen return. Yeah, that's gonna fix the Canadiens goaltending for sure. Casey DeSmith. I don't know if Dallas would trade him. Yeah, not really a reason for us to be honest. He's been good for us. Can I offer you a slightly used Nedeljkovic? Bold of you to say slightly used. That's like when you're selling something on eBay and you're like, yeah, it's used. It's slightly used. And it's like been used for like 10 years. Every single day. Oh, he's very used. I'll just say that. Bobrovsky, they have two young goalies in the pipeline. Can't see them getting Wallstedt. Yeah, that's the thing for me is that I think they already have the younger guys. So you might as well go for somebody a bit older. Binnington, I guess, could fit that mark, but I also could see Bobrovsky just because of that age being a factor. Yeah, I guess Binnington always does play good in Canada, eh? That is kind of the issue. Actually, on that note about Nedeljkovic, we just got a contract extension confirmed here. 2 years at $3 million AAV for Alex Nedeljkovic in San Jose. So there you go. Does that take San Jose out of the running of trading for a goaltender? Maybe. Possibly. But Nedeljkovic just got his contract extension as soon as he was mentioned in the chat. That's really funny. Oh my goodness. I need to ration out my water now too. I need to ration out my orange juice that's about halfway through. I need to ration out my water that's about halfway through. We're gonna make it. I'm really proud that I haven't had to pee yet, by the way. Really, really proud. White Cloud is a trade target for San Jose. That could be interesting. I know also Montreal was linked to the White Cloud as well. If they're going to go for like a depth D, I could see that being the case. He could be an interesting one there. But I don't know. I feel like man, Montreal is just going to be an interesting one in general. They're going to be an interesting one. Evan Pop with the $2 donation. Does Seattle make moves? Thank you for the donation, dude. I appreciate that. Let me get you here as the last one. My man is back and better than ever. It's good to see you, Evan. Welcome to the stream, and thank you for the big dono. Seattle, in their case, has kind of been weird because I think they were looking like they were going to be a big seller at the deadline, but it seems, and we got word that they've kind of pushed back on that and are likely to keep a lot of their UFAs, guys like Alexiak as an example. So it seems like Seattle, I don't know if they're going to make a move, it's probably going to be to buy something, but I don't really feel like that's in the cards right now of how much of now a seller's market is become, even though we were told it was going to be a buyer's market. Still, I think it's a little bit sad. And I think in a lot of ways, they're a team that I would want to see get bold, go for like a Jordan Kyrou. I just don't really see it happening, sadly. We want to move from Montreal. True, Kent Hughes. Wake up, man. Wake up. You think the Brink trade for Juracek is so they can use him for something bigger? For use Brink or Juracek? Because I think Juracek maybe could be used for something bigger, but I think Brink is a great fit in Minnesota, so I don't think they would end up trading him personally. Hey, thank you for the 2, Evan, again. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate that. He says a garbage idea from the Kraken. What? To not trade away their UFAs? I agree. I think they should have gone full sell this year. They're a team that I don't think is going to go far, even if they make the playoffs. I just don't. I don't think it's going to work out very well for me. At least that's what I would say for them. Hey, Mark Jr. with a $5 donation. Thank you so much, King. How do you feel about the Wild and Brink? Also, could they make a move for a center? Cough, cough, Ryan O'Reilly. Ooh, okay. Intriguing. Here you go. Thank you for the donation, Mark, for the $5. You're the man. Actually, let me put up the donation amount as well. I can do that. To kind of make it a bit more personalized. Thank you for the 5, dude. But yeah, in terms of the Wild and Brink, could they make a move for a center? I hope they are a little bit more aggressive because they didn't really trade. They traded Juracek, but in terms of their picks, they didn't really trade much in that deal, of course. So Ryan O'Reilly could be interesting, but I feel like, again, he's another one of these guys where the value is just way too high right now. I think teams need to get a bit creative because it seems like for the top targets, they're just not. That's kind of what we've seen, though, recently, right? Like, teams have got the trades that we've seen recently, and guys like Bobby Brink, John Carlson, like even guys like Logan Stanley, like these are not guys that are being talked about a ton in the trade market. And I feel like so many of these sellers that are just high on their own supply are just trying to gouge these teams out. Which means I think teams like Minnesota need to get a little bit creative here. They need to get a little bit more interesting. Maybe go for a younger player with less experience or something, because that's kind of the value that you're seeing here. John Carlson also wasn't much of a trade deadline guy, and he could get traded for less than Rasmus Ristolainen, which is a farce. That would be insane. So I think it's a weird deadline right now. I'm not gonna dump on teams from not paying these prices because we're seeing how insane they are. So I'm not really surprised. I'm not really surprised. Dude, this person keeps making alt accounts. This absolute loser keeps making alt accounts and putting the same thing in the chat. You're a loser, buddy. I hope you know that. You really are. You really are. And I hope you understand that you're wasting your time. And you should go get a job. It's 10 in the morning and you're going on like 15 accounts to spam random stuff. Get a job. Actually, can we get a job can everybody in all caps, get a job. Get a job. Get a job. Flip some burgers. McDonald's is hiring. McDonald's is hiring. And he's doing it again. Loser. Get a job. Get a job. McDonald's is hiring, buddy. They're hiring. They would love for you to come on board, buddy. I know you have no job and it's all sad and it's all depressing, but hey, it's not too late, buddy. It's not too late. McDonald's is hiring. They're hiring. They want you. They want you to flip some patties. Put some burgers on the tray. Get some fries going. Thank you guys. We got a good Shane going there. Hopefully he understands now the errors in his way. Clock in, bro. Clock in. Get it done. Get it done. Hey, Leif with the $2 donation. Thank you, buddy. Alexa, play Attention by Charlie Puth. True. Oh, that's hilarious, guys. I love that. Thank you for the $2, Leif. I appreciate it a ton. Leif with the goat. With the goat. He works for Darren Dreger too. True. Put the fries in the bag. Oh, Dregs might need a McDonald's application soon if he keeps it up. Buddy, get a job. Get a job. Get a job. Oh, that's hilarious. That is really funny. Ryker, thanks for the $2.79, buddy. It's Bruce Garrett trying to be poor Brucey. Oh man, we have some fun. We have some fun here on the streams, guys. We try our best. Okay. My Chrome is absolutely dying right now. I don't know if it's lagging for you guys. I'm gonna try to keep it as good as I can right now. I saw the donation by Mike. Thank you, buddy. And then Gold with the $2 too. Appreciate that too. My man coming through. Is it lagging at all either? I don't know. I don't know if it's lagging for you guys. Hopefully it's not too bad. My Chrome is just dying for some reason. I'm not really sure. It likes to do that, actually. It likes to do that. It's very strange. Actually, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, Drano. Let's put it in let's put it in a subscriber only mode. Once my Chrome actually stops dying on me, that would be great. That would be awesome, actually. Man, I don't know what's happening. This is very strange. Because it just like all of a sudden, I think it's because we put so much. We just said get a job so much. Very strange. Yeah, I think it's just the Chrome dying because my OBS is fine for right now. Thankfully, we haven't seen like any trade action yet, but that's the thing, is that we haven't seen anything crazy, at least over the last like 10 minutes or so. Since the Brink trade, we haven't gotten much. We did have that Nedeljkovic extension, but not really a ton of surprises, let's say. Saber shopping Levi per Pro Hockey Rumors. Yes, we did see that. And also just a lot of goaltenders in play in general. Like we have Levi, we have Montembeault as well from Montreal, which is interesting. Montembeault is just always curious to me. It's really interesting. Yeah, let me get to the donations here real quick before they go away. Mike with a 5 saying, remember everyone, it's a buyer's market. True. We were duped, man. We were duped. And then Gold says, can the Habs please take Korpisalo from Boston? I think that's very wishful thinking. For the Canadians to take Korpisalo, I think is extremely wishful thinking. Rocky with the donation says, hello from Norway. As a fellow Stars fan, is there any player you'd want them to trade for as of now? Honestly, I feel like I'm fine with what they've done. Apparently they'll be going for they'll be trying for another forward, but that's pretty much it. By the way, thank you for the donation. Let me get you here as the last one. Rocky here coming. All right, there we go. I'm gonna stay on OBS for right now. Maybe I should pull up the chat on my maybe I'll pull up the chat on my phone, and that way I won't have to switch as much, because that seems to maybe be the thing causing it, possibly. But yeah, my Mac's charging. I don't know why. My Mac is just kind of buns, guys. I'm gonna be honest. That's kind of the problem. But yeah, it's good to see a Norwegian in this stream. How's it going, buddy? Hopefully you're doing well, Rocky. Let's see. Subscriber mode only. Let's see if I can do it on here. Participant mode, and we'll do subscribers. All right, there we go. It should be subscriber only now. I think I just turned it on for you guys, so hopefully it's a little bit better. Okay, the lag seems to be chilled off at least a little bit now, so hopefully we'll be all good. But yeah, now we're on subscriber only, so we should be better. Hopefully whoever that is gets a job this time. But maybe wishful thinking. We'll see. Natalie, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. Actually, I can put my let me put the actual output here a little bit lower on the bit rate. That might help as well. Because I know earlier in the stream it was asking me to do that. So we'll see. We'll see if that does anything. Natalie, why are you on my screen? Natalie, get up my screen. Okay, there we go. that was a little bit strange there for a second. Warzone, thank you for the $2 donation. Ivan Demidov will be a franchise player. We already know this. If anybody says that it's not the case, then they're lying to you. They're lying to you. Demidov is the GOAT himself. So very true. It's very true, actually. Thank you for the dono, Warzone. I appreciate that. And then Rocky becomes a member. I appreciate that too, dude. Thank you for the donation earlier, the membership. Get all those extra perks. Put some emojis in the chat for us. Thank you, big dog. But we got 850 in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We haven't had a trade since the Bobby Brink deal, but again, it just feels like at a certain point, the dominoes will start falling here. It just feels like a matter of time at this point. So we'll see. I'm surprised on how fast we're growing. Danny, that's how it is around these big streams, and you're a big help for that, and I appreciate it a ton. If you guys haven't already hit that subscribe button, make sure you do so. We have daily hockey content, or at least weekday hockey content here all throughout the year, whether it's the trade deadline, whether it's the playoffs, the draft. There's just so much for you guys to enjoy, so make sure to do that if you haven't already. Also, if McKenna goes to Florida, that would be funny. I want to see McKenna, just for how the reactions online would be the best thing about it, honestly. Yeah, it seems like since I've started using the chat more on my phone, the lag has been a little bit better, but I'm still kind of dropping frames here and there. Not really sure why. We'll keep it going as long as we can. Caps do be selling. Yeah, it seems like it. They've been like a kind of surprise seller at this year's deadline. Need some trade action before I go to work. True, dude. We need something over like the next 30 minutes, guys. We need some good luck. We need some good luck in the chat. You guys got McKenna or Stenberg at 1. I still have Stenberg, but it's by a pretty narrow margin at this point. McKenna has really stepped it up since the World Juniors. It's so nice being in a chat with my fellow employed friends here. True. We love employment. We love employment in the Grav community. Dude, that's got to be like top 10 moments in a Grav stream. That get a job chat chain. That was legendary. Yeah, Minnesota got Brink. We do know that now. If you're not subbed, be subbed. True, Justin. Spitting facts there. Noah Colby comes in with a 279. What would a Nemets to Ottawa trade look like? Interesting. Like what I imagine the question is what would it look like from Ottawa's perspective, or for New Jersey getting back? Honestly, I think a big piece. The problem is that Ottawa doesn't have a lot of younger players that are really super enticing. And I feel like a Ridley Grigg would be too much, at least for what Ottawa would want to get rid of. So I feel like, again, like what would New Jersey really want from an Ottawa right now? I don't know. I feel like Ridley Grigg is one of the only guys I can really think of, but I don't think Ottawa would want to trade that guy. It could be more pick-oriented, more prospect pick-oriented, but I don't know if New Jersey would do that either. Maybe they would do that just to get the assets to trade further down the line for another player, but I think it would probably be more pick-oriented. So I think in that way, it might be like a second and like a prospect like a Stephen Holiday, maybe like a third on top of that, something like that. Hey, we got a couple donations here as well. Scanny11 with the $2 says, oh, the Capitals reporter. I know who you're talking about. I'll give him a look. Yeah, I think I don't know if he's for the Athletic or not. I think, or like Washington Post, one of those. Let's see. Yeah, he for the Monumental Sports Network. Asked how the John Carlson trade impacts his future. Ovechkin, whose contract expires at season's end, says, I don't know. I'm still here, so we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. It's a hard one. Interesting. So a little bit of like doubt from Ovi about his future in Washington. So guys, is the Ovi trade happening? Is the Ovi trade happening? Let us know. Sens are trying to flip Skinner. Absolutely, XNG. Thank you for the donation, buddy. I appreciate that. Let me get you as the last one here. By the way, you guys have been absolutely killing it with the donations today. So thankful. It's been such a fun stream, and because of you guys, we've had a lot of fun today. And then Jake comes in with a $5 donation again. This man just does not stop. Absolute goat. Do you think Charlie Stramel has the ceiling to be Eriksson Ek's successor? Ooh. It's an interesting question. I think Stramel's a bit too different, though, compared to Eriksson Ek. I don't think Stramel's going to have nearly the defensive habits that Eriksson Ek has. I think Stramel is very similar to like a Vincent Trocheck, where he's going to be great in the net front, great in the face-off dot. Not necessarily a great defensive player, but a solid enough one. But just kind of just kind of commands the ice well enough, has good IQ, knows what he wants to do out there. He's kind of up that alley more so than Eriksson Ek, where he's much more of like a Selke candidate type of player. That's at least what I see out of Stramel. Maybe like a Trocheck light though, because I don't see Buns. Thank you so much for subscribing. I don't see him being I see him being a really good like third line center. That's what I see Stramel being, but a really good one. He can play up in the top 6, I'm sure, but I think on like a Stanley Cup winning team, he's a 3C in my opinion. But thank you so much, Jake. Let me get you now as the last one. You guys have been just going back and forth with it. I love it. With the $5 there. And yeah, no updates yet from any of the insiders. We haven't gotten anything else. We do know that Montembeault is in play, so we'll see if we get anything else on that. But the goalie market seems to be the big saving grace right now, because we could see Bobrovsky getting dealt. We could see Montembeault now. Levi is also on the market, so a lot of intrigue there. Let me know, who is the first goaltender that goes off the board, chat? Is it a Bobrovsky? Is it a Montembeault? A Levi? A Binnington? Is it a Stolars? Is it a Skinner? I'm going to say Stuart Skinner just because it would be funny. Just because it would be really funny. I kind of need to see this happen now. That's pretty much it. I don't have any reasoning. I don't have any actual sources or reports. I just think it would be kind of fun. Laine and Monty for Bobrovsky type deal. I just don't really know if Florida would have the cap for that. That's the problem. Is I think they're in a harder spot, I think. Levi to the Panthers. Ooh, that could be him going back to Florida would be really funny, actually. I could see that happening. That'd be fun. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm actually curious about that. Huh. I didn't even think about that as an option, as like a potential option, but it would be fun to see that reunion happen again. All right, let's see if anything else here. I don't think there's been anything else here. Alex Ovechkin said this is the saddest day of his career personally after John Carlson was traded. Man, poor Ovi. Poor Ovi. Do you think the Sharks should get any right D defenseman this deadline? I sure hope so, but at the very least, like in the summer, I would love to see that because they desperately need it. Do you think Columbus will make any other moves today? I don't think so, unless they sell, but I don't think they would. I think they're pretty well set with the Connor Garland trade. They wanted to get a wing. They got it done. Maybe they get rid of like some cap like Merzlikins if they can find an opportunity, but I don't think so. Let's see. Do a poll for first goalie dealt. Actually, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. Let's do that. Let's play like a little poll here in the chat. Let's do. Hey, Tony with a 3-month membership. Thank you, man. I cannot chat after you put on subscriber chat only, and I'm a subscriber. Oh, weird. Really? I'm sorry about that, Tony. I mean, I guess if you haven't been able to chat, you wouldn't be able to chat that you haven't been able to chat. I apologize for that, Tony. Here's what I'll do. Once we get to like another like 20 minutes, and I'll maybe turn that off just to see if the person that needs a job actually got one or not. That's what I'll do. Is I'll probably switch it back a little bit and do it that way is what I would imagine doing. Let's see. All right. Let's do a little poll here. Which goalie gets traded first? Let's go Bobrovsky as an option. Let's do Skinner. Let's put Montembeault since he seems to have a little bit of steam now. And then let's just go Levi as another option as well. So we'll put the poll now in the chat. You guys can vote which goalie gets traded first. Lock in your prediction because I feel like there has to be one at least. There has to be one. Come on. Let's see. Bruins got to wake up. I sure hope they do, Joe. I sure hope some of these teams wake up because there's so much. Oh, just refresh the page. Oh, okay. So if you guys refresh the page, and if you're a subscriber, just refresh the page, and you'll be able to chat after that, apparently. At least that's how it's worked for some of the people in the chat. I could see Dougie Hamilton, the Sharks. Yeah, that seems to be... I've heard that before, floated. I had Anaheim as an option, too, but San Jose also could be in the market for somebody like that with the age that he has. I just don't know. I don't know if I would do it if I'm San Jose, man. I think it would make more sense for Anaheim considering they're further along in this rebuild. For San Jose, I just don't really see it. I just don't really see it personally. So as of now, Bobrovsky is winning the poll in the goalie who gets traded first voting with 42%, Skinner at 22%, Montembeault at 19%, and Devon Levi at 18%. So really close there at the bottom, but Bobrovsky leading the way for you guys. Interesting. Would you see AJ Green to Montreal since he's from there in rumors? Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting. I feel like they would have to get rid of a little bit of cap there. Maybe Line A is the guy going back, but possibly. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think he's a really solid player. I just don't think he's a needle mover necessarily. What return do you think the Devils could get for Dougie Hamilton? Probably not much. Consider if there's salary retention, then I think he could get a little bit more. But with no salary retention, I'd imagine like a second, maybe something like that. Metal for Life. Thank you for the 279, dude. What will it take for the Sens to land Thomas? Ooh, a lot. As we've seen, it would take a lot. The thing is, if you want to know how much Thomas costs, the St. Louis Blues, when they were negotiating with the Utah Mammoth for Thomas, they wanted their top 3 prospects in Denoye, Aginla, and Simashev. So you would have to give up basically that type of value, if not maybe even a bit more, to land a guy like Thomas. Plus, the Sens don't have their first round pick. And I got to be honest, I think that takes them out of the running almost immediately. Especially for a team like St. Louis and Thomas, where we know they have a lot of options. They just have the price so high that nobody wants to bend to their will. That's the problem. So I think for the Sens to trade for Thomas, it would be a Herculean task, mostly because they don't have their first round pick, but also because their prospect pool isn't great. And I just don't think they have they don't have the options, in my opinion. And Pierre LeBrun, team still trying for Rasmus Salina this hour, but the Flyers are fine keeping him unless their price is met. Has another year on his deal. Thanks for absolutely nothing, Pierre. Great job, buddy. Great job reporting. I could have written this exact same tweet. You know what? I'm going to write this exact same tweet because I'm an NHL insider and I can just tweet whatever I want. And I could just call myself an insider by posting random crap. This whole system, man, is so funny. This is so funny. But Pierre LeBrun, he's got the insider info. Oh, man. These people are so funny. Sources say as a must. Of course. You have to clarify that. That's plagiarism. No, Zach, I have my sources. Man. I'm sorry. I have my sources, and I'm not going to reveal them at this hour. Guys, we got to trade. NHL. Hey, the Bruins woke up. They acquired Riz. The Bruins acquired Riz. Don Sweeney has woke up. Oh man. What a funny trade to just plop on here. The Bruins acquire Massimo Rizzo and Alexis Gondron for the Flyers in exchange for Brett Harrison and Jackson Edward. AHL swaps on the deal there. Yeah, that is a trade. That is for sure. Man. Is what it is, I guess. Bruins fan here can safely say this is one of the trades of all time. That is true. That is very, very true. The Bruins have acquired Riz from the Philadelphia Flyers. Congrats to the Bruins, by the way. Congrats to the Bruins. I didn't think they had it in them. Thoughts on the Perron trade? I thought it was fine. I think it was good for the Sens. Good value, considering it'll likely be a third-round pick. But I think the Red Wings mostly get him for the locker room because Perron this year has not been great. But you get some decent bottom six depth. That's fine. Cycle with the $2. Good to see you, dude. What would the Carolina return be for Trocheck? Ooh. Like, realistically, what would they have to give? Let's see. I think for the Canes, it would be a mix of first round pick. I think it would have to be like a Bradley Nadeau as the centerpiece of the deal. I think it would be Bradley Nadeau. And a first round pick. I think Nadeau could have that much value. But like Bradley Nadeau, first round pick in a third, something like that. Because I think Nadeau is a massive, massive prospect. But I don't think they have anybody in the pool that's nearly on that level that hasn't already been in the NHL, right? So you could trade a Badinka or like a Felix Ungarsorum, but I don't think the Rangers are super interested in either of those players. Maybe Badinka, possibly with his size, but I think they would look for Nadeau as the big part of that deal. That's at least what I would see. Jackson Edward is the key to that deal. Oh yeah, game changer, Jeremy. Game changer. By the way, in terms of the progression on the poll for everybody here, we got 327 votes in the chat. Let us know which goalie gets traded first. Bobrovsky is at 43% right now. Skinner at 21%, Montembeault at 20%, and then Levi at 16%. So we got that going. Who is more likely to get dealt, Thomas or Kyrou? Definitely Kyrou, 100%. Not even a question in my mind. Just because of how much the asking price is in the case of Thomas, Kyrou would probably come below that, I'd imagine. Oh, Scanny, didn't miss your super chat? Let's see. Okay, I got back to it, Scanny. Thank you for letting me know. I'm super sorry about that. Scanny says, with the $2, what would be the package for Ovi? I don't even know what Washington would ask for. Like, what do you guys think? Like, would it be a first round pick? I don't know at this stage in his career. Like a second round pick and like a good prospect, maybe similar to like the Patrick Kane to New York deal, something like that. That's kind of what I would expect, but I don't know. How it would be strange because Ovi is very limited at this stage in his career, and I just don't know what teams would give up for him. But also the amount of money you would make by trading for Ovechkin just for the jersey sales alone would be unbelievable. Not worth the curse it would bring. Actually, probably true at M-Sync. You're good point there. Oh, $20 donation from Tyler C's coming in with a massive one. Thank you so much, buddy. My goodness. Holy. Can we get some Tyler love in the chat for that? Unbelievable. And let me get you as the last donator, Tyler. Tyler coming over the $20 donation. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Absolutely wild. Tyler comes over the 20 and says, for the mock trade to Minnesota, Robert Thomas, Binnington with 50% retained by the Blues and 50% by another team. To St. Louis, 2027 first, Yurov, Wallstedt, Lambos, Spacek. Could also change out the 2028 first for Lambos and Spacek. I mean, I'll be honest, Tyler, I don't even know if that's enough for just Thomas. Like, am I crazy about saying that? Considering that, again, Utah was getting asked by St. Louis for Denoye, Aginla, and Simashev, potentially even more on top of that. I don't even know if a first Wallstedt, Yurov, Lambo, Spacek would be enough for just Thomas. Especially when you consider the salary retention, that would add a massive amount to the deal. I think Minnesota would need to just absolutely blow your socks off, especially for an in-division trade. But both Thomas and Binnington going would be wild. That would be, no pun intended. That would be crazy. I'd love to see that. But also, I don't know why. Also for the Wild, I don't think Binnington is an upgrade over what they have already in Gustafsson. So I don't know. But a very curious one. Nathan, how do you feel about that smiling at friends ending? My boys, it's over. My boys. Oh, it's so sad, man. Because they greenlit 2 other seasons. That's my big problem. They greenlit 2 other seasons, and I was ready for that to be it. And if they wanted to quit after that, that's completely fine. I understand it. I get it. But also, like, come on, guys. Come on. I don't know. It's just sad to me. Super sad. But I love what we got. Grav, do you think there's a chance John signs with the Caps this offseason or comes back to the Caps? That could be interesting. I mean, could this just be it for him in general, though? Like, I could see him I could see him just hanging it up after this year. Maybe, I don't know. That's kind of what I would think, though, if I was going to bet on anything. What about Ovechkin to Anaheim, since they're looking for a top 6 forward to join Carlson? Dude, imagine Cutter Gauthier and imagine Alex Ovechkin in Anaheim. That would rule. Actually, let me know in the chat, what one team do you want to see Ovechkin go to? Because honestly, Anaheim might be up there. That would kind of be sick, guys. Also, Utah, just because of how funny it would be. Imagine. I would say Anaheim, Utah would be fun. I want to see him go for a cup run. So obviously Dallas would be a ton of fun. I'd love to have him on my favorite team. But in terms of like other cup contenders, Carolina would be hilarious. I'm trying to think now. I'm not sure. Hey, Schnitzel Incorporated. Thoughts on Sabres going after a top 6 forward? I could see it. Would it be more so a center than a wing, maybe? Because they likely Alex Tuch isn't going to be staying because he's asking for like $11 million in his next contract. So I'm curious about that. Yeah, maybe they go for maybe a more long-term piece potentially. I'd be down for that. But thank you for the 2, brother. Let me get you as the last donator here. Let me try to not butcher the name. With the donation there. Okay, let's see. Did I actually botch it? Okay, I don't think I did. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I don't want Ovi for the Sabres. I want Tom Wilson, but I don't think the Caps are trading him at this point. I don't think so. Everyone is saying you plagiarized on your X post. Those are my sources, man. Those are my sources. I can't reveal my sources, man. Okay, here's the thing. If anybody genuinely gets mad at me for copy and pasting Pierre LeBrun's tweet, that literally happens for every insider. Frank Saravalli, dude, he's so funny because Elliot Friedman will announce a trade like 2 minutes prior, and then he'll be like, my sources are saying that this trade is happening. Yeah, my sources too are saying that, buddy. My source is Elliot Friedman on Twitter. I have the same source as you. Hey, we actually got a trade to announce. Speaking of him, speaking of Frank Saravalli, he gets a big one here. The Wild are going for another forward and closing in on Nick Foligno out of the Chicago Blackhawks. So Billy G ain't done yet. Billy G ain't done yet. He's going for it, man. He's going for it. And by the way, before we get into that deal, Tyler C's with the $5. Thank you so much, dude. What if you add the first in 2028 and leave the prospects? Also, Binnington would be a backup who has won the cup. Otherwise, Minnesota would have to make another trade. Yeah, I could see. I mean, backup though, you'd be trading a lot for a backup, right? That's kind of my only thing. Is I don't know if I would see the Wild doing that. I mean, especially now, they just went for another forward, it seems like. So very, very interesting. Nick Foligno, though, off to the Minnesota Wild. So the Blackhawks do make another move. We do get that locked in. I'm interested to see what the value looks like. I wouldn't expect too much. But Foligno gets back with his brother Marcus, as Awesome Zach puts in the chat. That's going to be a fun reunion there. But I would expect probably like a third and a prospect potentially. But we'll see. Of course, the Wild didn't give up any picks in that Brink deal, so I thought they could have gone for another deal, and they get one here. We'll see. You should make it a running bit today where you copy all of Pierre's tweets. Oh, that would be funny. That would be really funny. I actually like that idea. I was going to say about the Wild adding Marcus's older balding. Wait, Taylor, why? Let him live. Why do we have to say he was balding? That's disrespectful, brother. That's disrespectful. That's crazy work. That is fair. That is crazy work. Yeah, his bald brother. His bald brother. And then Schnitzel comes in with the $2. Harry and Glepp and Charlie for a second and Darlene. Great value for Buffalo, dude. The vibes would never be higher. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Thank you for the $2 though, Schnitzel. I appreciate it a ton. And a really good donation message. I like that one. Bedard is capping as a captain now. Ooh, maybe so. I mean, I don't think the Blackhawks would name another captain this year, but for next year, I don't know. Could be interesting. Yeah, what do you guys think the return on the Foligno deal is going to end up being? I would assume probably, again, like a couple of mid-grade picks. I would say pretty similar to like the Connor Garland trade, maybe a little bit less than that. But yeah, Nick Foligno is a fascinating one. The scoring might not be there in spades, but in terms of the way he plays, he's a really smart player, always has been. Great defensive work ethic. And in terms of being a leader, he's one of the best out there. So having that guy on your probably fourth line, I would imagine, not a bad option to have whatsoever. I think for Minnesota, they're doing some good things in their bottom six, upgrading it in both older and younger ways. So I'm curious about that. I'm liking Minnesota's trade deadline up to this point. But yeah, I mean, they've gone after already Michael McCarron. McCarron a little bit iffy, but they're certainly trying to upgrade that bottom six. We'll see how successful they are, but that was kind of the big need for them, and they do get it here. And in Minnesota's case, you get one heck of a veteran presence there. A lot of playoff experience, too, in that guy. Hey, Cameron with the $5 nation. Good morning, Nathan. Are the Hawks sending out too many players? Bedsy might be getting upset. No, I think he probably understands the situation at hand. Plus, how many times has Foligno played with Bedard? I don't think it would affect him too much, but no, I think it'll be just fine. I think I would stop it now if I was Chicago. They traded all the guys they probably were going to trade anyways. But I think they did exactly what they needed to here. Exactly what they needed to. And they done a great job. But guys, thank you so much for being in here. We got 1,000 absolute beauties here in the chat. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, make sure you do so you can also join us in the chat here. We have constant hockey updates all throughout the year, whether it's trade deadline, the draft, free agency, the playoffs, the offseason. We're always here locked into the NHL. And if you're ever interested in hockey, this is the place to be for all those updates and all those updates today as well. As we go through the rest of this deadline, we're going to see how many more major moves we got, but we are starting to see some trades trickling in. Nick Foligno to Minnesota, as well as Bobby Brink to Minnesota. Guys, can we get some W's in the chat for Billy G, Bill Guerin in Minnesota? He's saving this trade deadline right now. He's saving this trade deadline. I love it. The Wild are trading Blackhawks captain Foligno, where he can play with his brother Marcus per sources. This is Chicago doing their captain a solid to chase a cup. No retention on the deal. And the Blackhawks don't have any retention spots left. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So no retention on the deal, which might limit what Chicago gets back in the trade. Oh my goodness, 3 donations coming right in, almost back to back to back. We got JHY with a bunch of letters. Any chance Vinny Trocheck for Hagens? Ooh. See, I feel like the Bruins would go in a different direction with that. Maybe like a Will Zellers, a first-round pick, another first-round pick maybe, and like a somebody on the younger side, like a Matthew Poitras, perhaps. That would be what I would imagine. I think Hagens is as untouchable as it gets for Boston. Unless it's like a Robert Thomas, then I think that would happen. Walter with the donation. Is Elias Pettersson getting traded? I don't think so. I think the contract is too much of a barrier right now. I mean, you see how much of a problem it is for even some of the higher end contracts. I just don't see it at this stage, even though it would be fun. And then Jesse with the donation with the $2. What do you think of the Oilers trades? I think they are good fits, especially in the case of Jason Dickinson. I think he's a great fit for what they need. For me at least, I think the prices were just a bit too exorbitant for me. I think for me, I wouldn't have pulled the trigger on a first-round pick for him. I get that this trade market is wild, but I just don't quite see the value there. That's at least my opinion. So, right ideas, maybe not the right execution, I would say, for Edmonton thus far. But we'll see if they have anything else up their sleeves. But yeah, out of retention spots are the Chicago Blackhawks. So I believe in the case of Foligno, let's just check here. I believe he is a rental, so I don't think it would be a massive commitment long term for Minnesota. But in Foligno's case, he's making $4.5 million for this year. Then will be a UFA after the season ends. So it's not a big commitment, but a decent amount of AAV. So I'd imagine Minnesota's probably the last thing to end up doing today. Hey, and then Leif with the $10 donation coming through, my man. Good to see you, dude. Hope you're having a great morning. Obviously, I think McElwain, Celebrini, and Schaefer are future captains and great people too. Do you think Connor Bedard gets the C at Chicago at some point down the road? I think so. I wouldn't have said that maybe a year ago, but I think he's really taken that team by the horns and has just willed them in so many ways. Not as much as Celebrini has done in San Jose, but earlier on in the season, Chicago was playing well. They looked pretty solid. Just wasn't able to keep it going. But I think in a lot of ways they're going to be a team that really, really surprises long term. But I think Bedard has it locked up. Mostly because I don't really see anybody else on that Chicago team being on that same level. Like maybe they do like a Teravainen as like a stopgap, but I don't really see that. I don't think it's really worth it to do that either. But thank you for the $10, dude, and let us know in the chat, guys. Do you see Bedard as the next captain? Do you see somebody else taking that position? I would put my money on Bedard though eventually. Maybe it's not next year, but I think it's pretty soon. Either next year or the year after that. Let's see. Interesting. And then Jesse with the $2 donation. Will Ingram get moved to upgrade on goaltending? See, Ingram was another goaltender mentioned. Maybe it's like Ingram for Montembeault, and like the Habs get like a pick or something on top of that. I could see something like that. That could be interesting for Utah. There's a lot of goaltending options though this year, man. There's a lot of goaltending options. And that's the big thing. But thank you so much for the 2, Jesse, and to all the donators so far. You guys have been killing it. We got 1,100 people in the chat. You guys have been absolutely awesome, and we're gonna keep it going all throughout today. I'm curious to see how we see the response here to the Minnesota deals. Does anybody else make some big trades? Let's see what happens here, folks. Is anything happening on the Habs side? We've heard that Montembeault's been shopped a little bit, but not a lot outside of that up to this point. Walter with the donation as well. Who's going first overall in the draft? Really does depend on the team that goes at number 1. I think if it is Vancouver, it'll be Stenberg. But I think McKenna now has a lot more of the momentum on his side, at least at this point. And then Mike comes in with a 5. My man. Mike, a longtime OG here. Only captain I care about is in Minnesota. It will be the most beautiful man in hockey, Matt Boldy, before long. Hey, I can't even disagree with you as an Olympic gold medalist and a big time part of that gold medal win. I can't even disagree with you. So I have to hashtag true that. But thank you for the $5, Mike. You absolute goat. And yeah, I mean, how could you disagree unless you're Canadian, I guess. But that's just kind of sad if you are. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding, by the way. Grav, if the Sharks do go for Simon Nemec, is what I would see personally. Gaudette, Klingberg, Bjorkstedt, a first rounder and a 5th round pick, plus a 4th round pick as a potential sweetener. Is this realistic? A lot of picks, and I don't know if the Devils would go for a Klingberg or a Gaudette, but I think Bjorkstedt could be an interesting one as like just a pure third line center in the future. I think you're on the right track, though. I think you're on the right track. Boldy is nails. True. I love that. That kid is awesome. Grav is getting paid in Swedish and Norway kron. Hey, I don't complain. I don't complain. I love my Norwegians. Do you think the Pens can trade for Shane Wright, and what would the package look like for the Penguins? Ooh. What do you guys think? What do you guys think the Penguins would trade for Wright? Because, well, again, I'm just always so confused about what Seattle wants to do, so I don't really understand what they want. I guess they like to go for more buying moves, so maybe like a Rickard Rakell could be a part of the package. I don't know. Seattle, I've just given up trying to rationalize whatever the hell the Seattle Kraken are doing. I hate that team and how they are run. Just despise them. Love the branding. I was so hyped for them going in, just for them to be the most boring team in the NHL. Guys, I went to the Stars Kraken game like a week ago. One of the worst performances I have ever seen in my life live. Genuinely. They could not pass the puck at all. It was one of the worst performances I have ever seen. And it was like the biggest example to me of what the Kraken are doing wrong, because they built their team to try to surprise in the playoffs, but they're not good enough to actually get there, or fun enough to actually get there, or have the skill to get there. And it just frustrates me so much because they were building something so interesting to start and then just completely failed it. Red Wings need to get Logan W ASAP. Logan who? Not Black. I don't who? Logan who? I don't expect anything crazy, but other than just picks in return, do you think Chicago gets another player in the trade? For Minnesota, I mean, maybe there's a cap dump, like a Yakov Trenin, maybe. That's the only thing I could imagine. That's what I would assume. But that's probably the only thing I would imagine is like a cap dump going the other way for Chicago. I don't believe there would be a prospect. I think it would be more pick oriented. I would guess. Raquel and maybe Bros, maybe a pick 2, not a first or a second for right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because the Penguins we know really value Raquel. So I don't even know. Maybe the Kraken would need to add on top of right. Who knows? Any more moves for the Mammoth? I hope so, but they seem pretty quiet today. We did see, of course, a big Weegar deal. I could see them going for like a bottom sixer, though. Maybe like an AJ Greer. I could see as an option for them. With McCarron, Nico Sturm, it could be the cap dump. Oh. Well, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, McCarron has been listed as center, but I've mostly seen him play wing this year, at least in my experience. So I'm not completely sure about it. But I think it's either like a Trennan or a Sturm type of guy. I still think Chicago tries to move off Bertuzzi. Ooh, maybe. I feel like he's one of their players though. They're like, okay, we got to keep some of these guys. We got to keep like somebody. I feel like Bertuzzi is one of those that just for future considerations. What? Billy G, are you kidding me? Wow. Is this the hockey gods just getting retribution for the Wild overpaying for Michael McCarron and the Blackhawks stealing themselves in the Jason Dickinson deal? I think it's just trying to even the playing field a bit. Only future considerations. Wow, they really, I guess they really wanted to get Nick Foligno onto Minnesota. Doing the veteran a solid. I mean, I guess so, but you're doing yourself a real solid there to a divisional. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter much for Chicago, but future considerations is crazy. What a deadline day by Billy G, baby. By Billy G. I mean, I don't think Nick Foligno is amazing or anything, but like he's a good fourth line player, unbelievable leader. So it's like, why not if you're Minnesota, man? Especially if you're not going to make any other moves. Foligno is an expiring deal, so it's pretty perfect actually. That's awesome for Minnesota. My goodness. Wow. Well, at least we got something for you, Govich. Yeah, have a good work day, dude. Hopefully we'll see some more trades for you after you get out. But have a good one, man. I appreciate you dropping by. We got 1,100 beauties in the stream, though. Thank you guys all for dropping by today. We're going to have a fantastic rest of the trade deadline here. Just a note as well. In about 45 minutes or so, I will be hopping on to the Bleacher Report stream. That'll be for an hour or so, and then that will, after that, I'll be back here on the stream. So we're just going to be streaming here in my room for the rest of the entire afternoon. I believe the trade deadline ends at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. So after that stream, which will go from 12 to 1, then I'll be live for the next hour after that, and then we'll be good to go. Future considerations to take the full $4.5 million cap hit. Yeah, but that's the thing is, I mean, if Minnesota's done, if they weren't going to make another move, then I think that's perfectly fine. I mean, as long as they can fit the deal, of course. But I was expecting maybe like a cap dump or something, or like a 4th round pick, like just like something at least. But hey, is it back to being a buyer's market? Are we back now in the buyer's market territory? Gio knows. Cheers from Ottawa. Good to see you today, Gio. For Daniel 4 with the donation. What do you think happens with Jason Robertson? I gotta say, I do think he just ends up staying in Dallas. I think that's the most likely scenario. That to me at least that would be what I would guess. But thank you for the $2 over the donation, brother. I appreciate that a ton. And I think in Robertson's case, I would say like 75% he stays. I'm not sure if he ends up getting dealt if he doesn't, but I think he likes it in Dallas too much to go, or at least make it hard on the Stars. I told you make that move now for Hughes. You got to go all in while you've got him 100%. I mean, Nick Foligno isn't going to be a huge needle mover, but in terms of playoff experience, in terms of that, there's not many guys that you want more as like a 4th line checking forward. He's just kind of perfect in that role. I love it. I love it for them. Robertson to Columbus would be amazing. Get your hands off my wife, all right? Get my wife's name out of your mouth. Who will make the biggest move today? Who's going to be the biggest player who will be on the move today? I got to be honest, slow motion. Like, I've been thinking about this, and I've kind of mentioned it a little bit before on the stream so far. I think the biggest move is going to be somebody we don't know about. Because everybody has... These sellers have gotten so dang greedy on, like, the Trocheks and the Thomases and the Falks that I don't think they're going to get dealt. Or at least it'll take a lot to get them dealt. Maybe we see them get pressure by the end of the deadline. That would be the earliest we see that type of deal. But... we've already seen like the John Carlson deal appear out of nowhere. Like, I think it's going to be a deal like that ends up being the case. Technically, the John Carlson deal did happen today. So I guess maybe that could be the biggest deal of the day. But it's going to be something that I think comes out of nowhere that we don't expect. That will end up really going crazy. So we'll see. I'm curious. What do you guys think that big out of nowhere deal would end up being? Oh yeah, the hearing on Malkin, that was interesting. Also, I don't care though because it's not the trade deadline. Get the priorities straight, guys. Come on. Come on. 180 minutes left. Greer get Klingberg off this team. I mean, you are true, Justin. We need it's a little bit of an anchor situation right now. I'll say that. Grav, bookmark this. Zetterlund is the next to go. Next trade, Ryker's locking it in. Okay. Okay, I see you. I see you, Ryker. I can get down with that. And it's going to be Ovechkin to Montreal. Oh, baby, that would be sick. Imagine I mean, it was already so fun having Ovechkin, having, what was it? Kovalchuk in Montreal. The hype around him was unreal. Imagine the hype around Kovalchuk would be like 20% of the hype we would see around Ovi. That would be unbelievable. The Ovi Montreal jersey would go triple platinum, guys. It would be insane. By the way, we have about, I think it's 4 hours left until the NHL Trade Deadline is officially through. Actually, 1, 2, 3 hours left. We're getting a lot closer, though. We're getting a lot closer. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already for all-day hockey content, especially on this trade deadline process. Plus, you get a shout-out here in the corner of the screen, so I really do appreciate it a ton. And if you guys haven't hit that like button either, we are 19 away from 400. Let's get that going. We got 1,100 in the chat. We can pretty easily clear that. If you guys are enjoying the hype and enjoying the stream, that's one of the best ways to support it. And get your comments in the chat down below. What trade you guys think happens next? Next trade, OEL to San Jose. They really do love their right shot defenseman, man. If they trade for OEL, I'm seriously going to start questioning Mike Greer pretty well in terms of the pro scouting. I'm going to be a little bit concerned. I'll say that. Any big moves you see Boston making? Well, scoring will. They already traded for Massimo Rizzo. What more do you want? What more do you want? They traded for Riz. That's all I need, honestly. Keep me updated on the Red Wings because Stevie better pick up 7. I got you, Tommy. I got you. Well, we're going to keep you guys updated for all the trades that we see. We can see a lot more action here in the next little bit. Because especially we've kind of seen the dominoes start to fall now. Minnesota seems to have really gotten their stuff going. So I'm curious if we see another team step up. Billy G has been giving us some action tonight. Someone else give us something. Let us know. Which GM do you want to see wake up right now? Which GM do you guys want to see wake up? Because I'm going Kent Hughes, man. I need him to wake up. I don't think he's going to make a trade, but I want him to wake up right now. I need to see it happen. Because it's been way too quiet. We've heard way too much about Montreal, as always. Who steps up? Who gets it done? Who is the one to make this trade deadline interesting? It's up to you guys. It's up to you, GMs. Let it make it happen. Are the Ducks done? Allegedly, the Ducks are still hunting for a top 6 forward, so it doesn't look like it. Apparently, they're still going for more. So we'll see. Yoel with the $2, Yoel, calling it next trade. Kent Johnson to Chicago. Okay. I like where your head's at. I mean, Kent Johnson would be wicked in Chicago. Him and Bedard would be so much fun. So I would love to see that. I hope we see a Kent Johnson trade just for his sake because he really does kind of need he really does need a better system for him. And I feel like Chicago could definitely be that. Jason Botterill, wake up, please. Somebody pick up the phone. Somebody Somebody else besides Bill Guerin, who has been carrying today for us. I'm glad Billy hasn't mortgaged the future for Trower Thomas. If he wants a second big swing, wait till until the summer. This is the deepest we've been in years. I can kind of agree with that, Mike. I mean, with the prices right now, I would personally wait. Even if I was a team like Minnesota that could still stand to add more. I also think their depth was a bit of an issue, and they tried to correct that. We'll see how much it ends up helping them, but I think they've gone in the right direction so far. Ion, I'll link that. The stream will be on YouTube, I believe, so you'll be able to watch it just directly, and we'll be able to instantly connect you there. Where are the trades at? That's what I'm saying, Avi. That's what I'm saying. What happened? What happened here? Now, granted, the mornings are a little bit slower compared to the afternoons, as is typical, but still, man. What about Vegas's goaltending? Vegas is one to watch too. I mean, there's so many goaltenders available right now, and in terms of the poll for who you guys see getting traded first, Bobrovsky has only climbed in his lead right now. He's at 48%. Stuart Skinner is at 19%. Samuel Montembeault is at 17%, and then Devon Levi is at 16%. Once that gets to 800 votes, I'm going to close it. We'll see what the final tally ends up being. But Bobrovsky really with a big lead there. that is interesting to see. But yeah, get your final votes in that, and I'll close it here in a minute. We'll see how it ends up swaying if any other new votes come in. Ken Johnson would be a good fit in Pittsburgh. Ooh, I think he would be, actually. Him with like a Kindle could be very fascinating. I just don't know if they'd want to trade him within the division. But yeah, in terms of the final votes, 806 votes, Bobrovsky 48%, Skinner at 19%, Monty at 17%, and then Levi at 16%. So there we go. Minnesota will be the next trade. JC, you think they're gonna make another trade? Do they even have the cap to go for anybody else? I don't know. That's my big thing. I don't know if they can, even if they wanted to. Flyers making a big move next. It seems like Ristolainen was the big piece they had, but the price is just way too high on him right now. So it seems like they kind of need to bring that down, similar to the Blues with Justin Falk. It seems like both him and Falk have been just way too overvalued by their teams. They need to start bringing this down a little bit. In a Ken Johnson move to Chicago, what do you think the return would be from Little B? It would be interesting. I think for Chicago, it's Columbus. It's hard because Columbus, I think, would want a little bit more NHL-ready guys. So maybe Bertuzzi could be a guy going back to the Blue Jackets. I think that could be something that they would like quite a bit. So maybe Bertuzzi is like the main piece NHL-wise going back. On top of that, maybe like a first-round pick, I don't even know. Do the Blackhawks have any first-rounders that aren't theirs? I'm not sure, but something like that where it's a bit more value on top. It's more pick-oriented, and the Blue Jackets could use that for something else down the line. Because I also think that the Blue Jackets just want to get rid of him at some point. Jake, thank you so much for the $10 nation. I appreciate that a ton. Jake, by the way, you have been absolutely killing it with the nation today. Thank you so much, dude. Jake says, do you think the current Wild moves have increased the Wild's chances of trading for Trocheck? Now they might feel comfortable adding Yurov to their trade package. Honestly, I think it's the exact opposite. I think they're now pretty content with how their whole group is now. Their bottom six looks changed for the better. They have a lot more veteran presences now. Trocheck would still be on the table, but I don't know if they'd be able to afford him. That's the big problem. That's really the big problem. And I just don't know if they have the juice. I don't know if they have the juice anymore to be able to make that happen. But thank you so much for the 10, guys, and for the 10, Jake. And let me know, guys, do you see Trocheck still on the table for Minnesota? I think, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I just feel like they're out of the running for many of the big guys now. Johnson to the Wild as their second C and play alongside Boldy and Brink. See, I think for a team like Minnesota, banking on Kent Johnson playing center and being a playoff type player there is a heavy bet to make, mostly because Johnson doesn't really play center. He's played center in the past as a prospect and sometimes with Columbus, but he's mostly been utilized as a wing. And I don't think it would be a big learning curve for him to play top 6 minutes as a center. And I don't think it would be beneficial for a contender. Maybe for a team like a Vancouver that could have the time to test these things out. Absolutely. But in the case of a team like Minnesota that's going for it, I just don't think you can take those type of risks. Hey, and then Philip coming with the $10 as well. Thank you, dude. Appreciate it. Please tell me why Detroit makes a trade for a player that's on the IR when the team needs players who can play right now amidst the push for a playoff berth. Really, I think it all comes down to Perron being kind of that veteran leadership presence that they've loved in the past. I also think it's a little bit weird that that they traded for him and it was that much, that it could have been a 3rd round pick if he does play a game. But I think it's mostly for the personality rather than the player, because even healthy, I don't think Perron is great. So I don't think it was the most inspired move for the Red Wings personally. But thank you for the 10, big dog. I appreciate that a ton. Hopefully we'll see the Red Wings make another move. And we got Gold coming up with another donation here with $2 saying Bertuzzi only plays for original 6 teams. Rest in peace, Columbus. Oh, I forgot about that. He has a 26 team no trade clause, actually. 26 team no trade list. Thank you for the dono, Gold. Let me get you as the last one here. And a big thank you to you guys for that. For Jake, for Philip as well. Oh gosh, what did I just do? There we go. What did I just... That was very strange. All right. All right. Guys, what do we think is the next trade here? What do we think is the next trade? Because now we have a little bit more of a stalemate again, where we haven't gotten much lately. Even in terms of like rumors and things being floated out there, there's not much on the docket. We got the Nick Foligno trade, future considerations. It is still wild to me that the Blackhawks did that big of a service, and just future considerations. Really wild. Just need to trade all these bum vets. Yeah, that's what I would be doing right now. I mean, Nino Niederreiter, I think makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to think about who else could be a good fit to deal. Jonathan Taves, but it doesn't seem like he wants to move from Winnipeg, which, yikes. Good luck, Winnipeg. Jeez Louise. Horrible contract. Let's see. Kovacevic didn't waive his no-move clause. Biggest name defenseman that could be moved are Nemets and maybe Parayko. I think, Ian, earlier it was confirmed that Parayko won't be waiving his no-move clause, no trade clause, no matter what. So it would a Parayko trade doesn't seem like it's very likely. Does Perron provide a presence when he's not healthy and playing? I would think so. I think that I would hope so, because if he doesn't, then I don't really feel like the player does enough to warrant the pick they got back, or the pick they traded away, but still. Atlas do with a 2. Sharks need a D-man that doesn't identify as a cone. That's what I'm saying. I've been saying this for years and nobody's been listening to me. No, I'm kidding. But thank you for the $2, Atlas dude. I appreciate that. And so absolutely true. Oh my goodness. You're absolutely spitting, my big dog. 100%. Valerie Nichushkin to Detroit. We did hear from Dater that Nichushkin could be on the move, but he's a bit of a hack, so I don't really know how realistic that actually is. But we'll see. Make sure we're still we're liking the stream, y'all. Let's get to 400. Right now we're 4 likes away from 400 likes, guys. We got 1,000 in the chat. If you guys are enjoying the stream, just hit that like button. It's a great way to support the channel and support the stream as well if you guys are enjoying. And it really does help it a lot. So that is very much appreciated. Line A to a bottom team like the Flames, Chicago Blues, Canucks, or Rangers. Yeah, it would definitely be like a cap dump type of move. Maybe they trade for a goaltender in the process. Again, I know people were speculating like line A to Florida or something. I don't know how that would make the cap work for now, but it could be enticing. Brandon Frey with the $2 says, I need some big Islanders moves today. Kyrou and Thomas. Brandon, at this point, I'm going to be real with you, Brandon. At this point, if Justin Falk is traded, I would be ecstatic. Like, oh, Corey Perry to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Elliot Freeman breaking it down. Corey Perry back to Tampa Bay. Oh my goodness. That comes out of nowhere, especially since, I thought it was confirmed that Perry would be staying. Corey Perry back to Tampa Bay. Congratulations on your Stanley Cup final loss, Tampa Bay Lightning. Oh, poor Lightning fans. Poor Lightning fans. That's brutal. That's brutal. Drado90 with the $5 Canadian. If I were the Jets GM, I would be trading for younger players like Nemets, Kent Johnson, or Shane Wright. Lambert wants out, so include him in the package. Yeah, I would be so in on Kent Johnson. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Yeah, poor Tampa, man. Poor Tampa. Who are they going to lose in the Stanley Cup Finals to, guys? That's now the question. Is it going to be Colorado again? Oh, man. But yeah, was it going crazy? I thought we heard that LA would be keeping Corey Perry. I guess things changed. Maybe Tampa Bay really gave up a package here. to get Corey Perry from LA. I mean, Corey Perry has been great this year. He's been unbelievable for LA. So I don't know. That could be very interesting. Thank you, though, once again, Drano, for the dono. Let me get you on the board here. Put it on the board. Yes. Perry to Tampa, dude. That's so funny. That's so funny. Perry didn't want out, apparently. Yeah, that was the weird part to me. That was the weird part, because I thought they were pretty content on him staying in LA. But things change rapidly, I guess, in this business, and we have the Tampa Bay Lightning going after him. That is really funny, I gotta say. Yeah, he waived his no trade. That's fascinating. Congrats, though, on the Stanley Cup final berth, Tampa Bay. Congrats. That's awesome for them. Whether they win the cup, that's a different story, but still. What do we think Corey Perry gets? I'm really fascinated by that, because he got off to an unbelievable start this year. I'm sure Tampa absolutely adores him. Yeah, does this mean that LA starts to really sell now? That's what's going to get interesting here. Is it like the first of a bunch of moves for the Kings to make? Because they absolutely could. They absolutely could. Clearly, Tampa will lose to Minnie in the finals. Ooh, Minnesota getting that far. That would be fun. Well, not for me and the Dallas Stars, but for Minnesota fans, for sure. It wouldn't be good for me, no doubt. Will, coming back with the $2. I want to cry. Another finals loss. Will, it's so over. It's never been more over. Oh, the Kings got a second rounder? Ain't no, I mean, I shouldn't even be that surprised. But look at this, guys. According to Saravalli, the Kings are getting a second round pick from the Bolts to send Corey Perry back to Tampa Bay. I mean, I guess the price was too big. Yeah, I mean, if you're LA, why the heck not? Why not? That's great for the Kings, man. A second for Corey. He's played really well this year, absolutely. But that is wild. A second round pick in 2026 for Corey Perry, guys. What are we thinking? Oh, man. I mean, if Corey Perry plays like he did earlier this season, then I can kind of understand it, because he was playing like an absolute god, and it was really, really strange. But I mean, Corey Perry has 28 points in 50 games. I mean, he better than Michael McCarron, I guess. But yeah, he's really gone cold as of late. He was like hovering around a point per game earlier on in the season. Oh, Joe with the 10. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate that. Love your content, man. Best hockey content creator out there. Thank you, dude, for the kind words. I think Trocheck is off the table for the Wild, but what other centers could they pursue? Yeah, I think if they were going to go for anybody else, it would probably be for like a third line C, I would imagine, Joe. Let me, excuse me. Let me go and get you as a last donor before that goes away. Joe Flash, my man. Thank you for the donation, the kind words there. I would say for them, it would probably be more of like a lower floor center, similar to like what they did with McCarron. So like a Teddy Bluger, I can imagine, from Vancouver, something like that. More of a defensive guy. But it's kind of interesting, because I think they've pretty much locked up their center group. But they still have the opportunity to go after somebody else. I don't think they would go after a Kadri. Just too expensive, especially if Calgary's not willing to retain. That's the big thing. That's the big part that makes this difficult. So that's what I would say right now. Coyle back to Minnesota, perhaps. I feel like that would just be such a lateral move, though. I don't know. Like, how much of an upgrade is he over Hartman? You know what I mean? Let's see. What should the Bruins go after to help them with the road struggles? I was going to say Trocheck. I still think Trocheck could be an interesting fit there, but the price is just massive, allegedly. But we'll see. But yeah, let us know in the chat, guys. What do you think about the Corey Perry trade to Tampa Bay? Do you think it's a W? Do you think it's an L? I don't know. I think it's bad, but it's not as bad as what we've seen with some other deals in this. I'd much rather have Corey Perry for a second than Michael McCarron for a second. I'll say that. But even then, man, it's still pretty steep, I would say. Wow. Good for the Kings, though. I mean, they're making the best of a pretty bad situation. I would say for Tampa Bay, I guess it makes sense considering the low cap hit too, and the lack of options they really had. Tampa just reacquiring Corey. Dude, Corey Perry cannot leave the Stanley Cup final. He just cannot. What fun. What a weird trade. But I'm not against it. It's at least something, so I'll take it. I'll take it for sure. Looks like Tampa is going into the Stanley Cup Finals to lose. Yeah, Colby, it's basically a foregone conclusion at this point, honestly. Cameron coming with a $2 donation. What's the price for a guy like Cameron Anderson? Ooh. What do you guys think? I'm thinking for Cameron Anderson, probably like a 4th round pick, maybe. Which ain't bad. Ain't bad at all. It's a buyer. It's a seller's market, apparently. Thank you for the dono, Cameron. And then Chad comes in with a $5. Thank you, dude. Chad Castleman, what a name. Love that. What would it cost my Sharks to get into Mets realistically? The thing for me is that I kind of go back and forth because in terms of what the actual value could look like, it just depends on what the Devils want. Because I could see Mario Ferraro being in that deal potentially. Maybe just a 1-for-1. Or maybe it's more of like Ferraro for the Mets and like a 3rd round pick or something. Similarly, I could see like William Eklund for like the Mets in like a 2nd or something. Similarly, on like that. Though I think the Devils would maybe prefer a D. So that's kind of why I lean Ferraro. But I think the Mets could be an interesting option. I just think I'd rather for San Jose go for more of just a defensive prospect. Because the Mets, even if he does pop, he's going to be more of like a glass cannon type of player that you kind of need to shelter no matter what. And I just don't know if that's who the Sharks should be targeting. Because to me, I think they need somebody that can just shut play down for a long time. And they just don't really have that in their system. Nothing from Drager today, huh? I guess he's more interested in arguing with doctors and incorrectly assessing this as a buyer's market. He loves to do that, and he loves to be wrong. So maybe he's trying to be less wrong this time. We'll see. Philip with the $10. Do you think if a team picks up EP40, Vancouver attacks on an IOU? They might have to make the deal work. I mean, yeah. I'm going to say it would take a lot of favors for a team to take on that type of contract. Thank you, Philip, for the $10. He's been killing it today. My man. Look at all of us talking about these men's lives like it's a game of cards. What a life. Chris, if that's how you feel about it, that's how you feel. But I think that's a rather sad way to look at things because you could also say the same thing about movies and all of entertainment, really, at the end of the day. So unless you're only like skipping rocks and fishing or something, then I don't really understand the argument. Because that's pretty much all entertainment. Let's be real. If we boil it down, let's be real. Mario Ferraro didn't practice yesterday with the Sharks. Moving Ferraro in either a pick or a young prospect for the Mets is realistic. However, I don't think the Sharks should go for them. Interesting, yeah. I mean, Ferraro, I think is I don't think he fits the timeline necessarily for them. That's the only problem. He's a bit on the older side. But he's the type of defenseman I think they need a bit more of. Especially on the right side of their defense. I'll say it 20,000 times in a row, but that's the problem. That's the issue. Grav, I have a whole new perspective on the Fogle for a second trade that makes it okay. Ben Rogers and Nordberg were second rounders by Ottawa. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It would the Sens would have to make a good pick at that spot, which is easier said than done for them, for sure. Kyle with the $5 dono. Perry makes it Stars or Avalanche versus Tampa for the final. Do you think either team makes one more move for the Central Arms race done? I feel like the Stars would make like a pretty lateral move if they were to. Colorado is the only one that I feel like could still make a major one just because of the cap space they got with Girard. But even then, it seemed like they kind of settled in the Waugh trade. So I don't even know. I would not be surprised if both of those teams are done. At least to me. That's what I think. The Wild will have to ship out a player or two in addition to what the Rangers already want. The roster is getting too big. Can't help you scratch half the team. I guess that's true. Yeah. I mean, especially for the cap to even work. If you're gonna trade for Trocheck, you gotta ship something out. I would have to think. I would imagine so. Yeah, Kyle, let me get you as the last donator, dude. Thank you so much. I've been trying my best to be on the ball with that today, and I think I've done an okay job. And then Jake comes in with a 5 too. Jake has been an absolute monster today. Thank you, dude. He comes in with the $5 saying EP40 plus a first rounder to Minnesota for Trennan, Hartman, Lambos. Maybe Elias Pettersson can find his magic again. Wow. I mean, I feel like Minnesota would have to offer a bit more than that. But also, his contract is so bad that I think his value is absolutely at the lowest it's been. But I feel like they would have to offer. I guess you get a first. I don't know. Honestly, that might be about the best that Vancouver could end up getting. Honestly, as crazy as it sounds. Thank you for the donation, though, Jake. My man coming through yet again. The cap hit on Perry, I believe, is pretty low. I think it's like 1.4 million for this year. Let me double check that for you guys. But yeah, it's relatively low, so I don't even think there needed to be salary retention there. Corey Perry making $2 million for the rest of this season, so not a massive commitment for them. Lil B, Ella Hawk, thank you so much for the 5 coming through. Let's see. Hank will have the Hawks will have $43 million in cap space next year with just Bedard to sign. Essentially, a big move has to happen this offseason. See, I was thinking that, and then like Frank Cervelli made like a mock lineup for them and only had them like acquiring like a 4th line center or something. I hope that they do go out and are aggressive this offseason. They'd have the picks and the opportunities to do so. Who do you think for you guys? Who do you think the Blackhawks would end up getting if they were to make a big move like that? Because I think I would like to see like a Kyrou type of addition, like that type of younger force that has proven himself well, something like that. I would like to see at least. Let's see. Let me make sure. LK Hawk, there we go, with a $5 donation. Thank you so much, man. I had to be careful to spell your name right. I think I did a good job there. Who's your right defenseman going to San Jose? I mean, out of the group right now, maybe like a Brandon Carlo, but I would say for San Jose, they might have to wait till the summer to get that type of player available, since there's not a great amount of options right now. We'll say that. Can we start calling EP40 the Little Mermaid now? I think Kent is waiting and we'll do like 4 to 5 trades back to back. 4 to 5? That's a lot of trades, Elliot. Has any team ever made 5 trades at a deadline day? Maybe like 1 or 2, possibly. I need Eisman to do something. True, Caden. What is Detroit cooking? What is Detroit cooking? Genuinely. Doesn't even make sense, but I feel like Barzal will come to Chicago. No idea why. Yeah, probably not for the Islanders' perspective, but that would be fun. That would be really fun. Eisman got Perron. Isn't that enough? No. I don't think David Perron, 2026 David Perron, I don't think is much to me. I think it's a pretty lateral move, at least. They don't technically need to do anything. I think they'll still probably make the playoffs, but it's not a confirmed bet. At least not yet. Where is Kent Hughes? Is he just like, did he really just sleep in today? Was the bed that comfy? I don't know. Maybe it is. But yeah, Corey Perry to Tampa Bay. That's still so funny. That's still so funny, man. I'll say this too. I think in Tampa's case, that was kind of the move I was expecting them to make. I don't think I was expecting, gargantuan, massive moves by this Lightning team. But I don't know. I think they're in an okay spot, as much as we like to dog on Corey Perry. I think it was a fine move to make. I think he was completely fine in doing so. From David Pagnotta, apparently we get a big update here. David Pagnotta confirms. Interesting. Okay. The Minnesota Wild are out for Vincent Trocheck. Focus is shifting elsewhere for the Rangers. So for the people that have been asking if the Wild could go for another move, it looks like that is out of the question now. That is curious to me. That is very, very curious to me. I'm not surprised considering how many moves the Wild have made. But the Wild are officially out of the Vinny Trocheck sweepstakes. And we'll see if the Rangers can do anything else. It feels like for the Rangers, man, the Trocheck sweepstakes aren't materializing like they wanted. But Minnesota is out of the picture. That is intriguing, man. That is real intriguing. All right. Why are people asking about Kent Hughes? The Habs are doing fine. I don't see why there'd be a rush to do any move unless there's a bargain. That's kind of how I feel, Frederick. Maybe they could go for like I've been thinking like a Zach Whitecloud type of move where try to solidify maybe that bottom pair a bit more, give some more insurance. But that's probably about it, I would say at least. But also, yeah, that was the thing too, is that Trocheck already said that he wanted to stay out east. So I'm not really surprised that Minnesota wasn't able to make it happen. That's not a surprise to me whatsoever here. But that's at least how I see it. Grav, when do you think McDavid will leave Edmonton? IMO, it'll be before his current contract expires. I don't think McDavid's leaving Edmonton. That's my take. I don't think it happens. At least for me, I don't think McDavid's doing that. But I also could see a situation where he ends up making things interesting. I think he's not the type of player that feels like he would leave. At least to me, I don't see it. I don't see it. But yeah, man, the Corey Perry trade is just so funny. The Corey Perry trade is just so funny, man. It's one of those deals that you just have to point and laugh. Vinny wants to go back to his hometown, Pittsburgh. I know we've heard a little bit about Pittsburgh, but I don't think they have been super interested in Trocheck, nor do I think they really need to be. I don't think they should trade for a 32-year-old at this stage. Kind of goes against what they've been building these last few years. All right, so, oh man, we got about 2.5 hours, I believe, until the trade deadline is officially locked in. So we'll see what happens here. I'm debating who's the next big guy to go. I'm not really sure. Because for me, we've seen so little action. Is it a Kyrou? Is it a... I'm just going through the names. I still feel like we haven't seen any goaltender moves today, and I'm still pretty surprised by that because they have the opportunities. There's so many goaltenders available for teams like Ottawa, teams like Vegas hasn't done anything, which I'm a little bit surprised by. Maybe it's because they went for their guy beforehand, but I don't know, man. I feel like Vegas is in a prime position to just go for another big surprising trade and make this happen. But they haven't done anything yet. They haven't gone for any goaltenders, which I think honestly is a little bit sad because I think they have the option to do so. They just aren't going for it. But I think if they were going to make a move, it would be for a goaltender. I just wanted their Bobrovsky trade to happen. I just want Bobrovsky to get dealt because I think that would be so much fun. That's what I want to see next. But let me know for you guys what you gonna want to see next come out of this whole thing. I'm curious on the Trocheck side where we see the Rangers pivot. Caden with the donation here, the $2.79. Think Falk and Thomas in a package for Detroit. I mean, I think Falk is a real interesting bet for Detroit. I think it would just be too much though, just for the price for both of these guys. We already know that Falk's asking price is too much. So that's the thing. If Falk's asking price is too much, then we know Thomas's asking price is too much. You combine both of them, and I feel like Detroit would have to give up their entire team, basically. That's what I would be thinking. We got a few minutes here until I'll be hopping on the Bleacher Reports live stream for the trade deadline. I believe that it'll be on YouTube, but I'll share that link to you guys when we get to it. But a few more messages here, and let us know any last minute comments, because what will happen here is that I'll be hopping on the Bleacher Report live stream. We'll be ending this in a few minutes time, and then after that one is done, after an hour, so it'll end at 1 p.m. Central and 2 p.m. Eastern. Once that's done, then for the next hour and a half, we'll be live for the rest of the trade deadline. We'll be back on the channel for another live stream later on. So basically, it'll be like an hour intermission or so between streams there, and then we'll basically be able to. I'll be joining John from Hot Take Hockey, by the way, if you guys don't know already. That's gonna be a ton of fun. But yeah, drop in your last minute predictions, and we're gonna go. It's gonna be very interesting this next couple hours to see what last minute trades happen. But basically, again, it's for the rundown. I'll be hopping on the BR stream here in a few minutes time, And then from 12 p.m. Central to 1 p.m. Central, I'll be on that stream. And then directly after, we'll be going live again on this channel. So make sure you subscribe, turn the post notifications on so you don't miss that stream. We'll be live back on this channel. And then we'll be going through the next hour, which will take us to the end of the trade deadline. So a lot more to come for this afternoon. A lot more. Also, Ryker, yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that Zetterlund prediction. We'll see if it actually comes to pass. That's the one I'm very curious about, for sure. Edmonton versus Tampa, Stanley Cup final. McDavid finally gets his cup. That would be another. Imagine he faces off against another Florida team, and he's able to beat Corey Perry this time. That would be wild. But make sure you guys haven't already. If you haven't hit that like button, make sure you do so. Subscribe, of course, if you're new and have joined the stream up to this point. We'll be going for like one more minute here. Don't see any last minute trades happening, but we'll see. If you're gonna dream big, Trocheck, Fox, the Wings, dream. That is dreaming big, Ronald. That is for sure. Does a team pick off Holtz off waivers? I don't think so. I think Holtz is dusted at this point. I'm gonna be honest. What move can the Kraken make? At this point, it seems like they're going to be keeping most of their UFAs. Shane Wright is likely to be staying, so it seems like the Kraken are going to be staying relatively shy at this year's deadline, which kind of sucks. I'd love to see them make a big move, but it doesn't seem like it's on the table right now. But that's going to be it for the live stream. The first part of the live stream this afternoon. We'll be live in about an hour and a half again on this channel, but make sure to join us on the Bleacher Report app, as well as I'm pretty sure YouTube, they'll be streaming it on the Bleacher Report YouTube channel. For the NHL Trade Deadline show with me and John from Hot Take Hockey. We'll be live for like an hour, talking puck, spitting, and all that, and yapping as much as we possibly can. But the most important part is that we will be back streaming later this afternoon, folks. So do not go anywhere. Stick here with the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in about an hour and a half, if that works for you guys. And we'll be back here to hopefully break down some of the trades that ends up happening. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I'll be back in about an hour and a half, and I'll see you guys for that. Have a fantastic hockey day, you guys. You know, have a fantastic trade deadline day too. And I'll see you then later in the afternoon. Have a fantastic one, and goodbye.